Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores. Sports have a way of bringing us all together. And at Sleeper, we developed a fantasy platform designed to make leagues more fun and personal. Sleeper includes an integrated chat and every feature you could want for your NFL, NBA, and even esport leagues. Plus, it's completely free with no ads. See why millions have made Sleeper the fastest-growing fantasy platform. Download Sleeper on the App Store or Google Play today.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? This is the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson here, and you are listening to Keepin It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keepin It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy, Donovan, and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and Chris Samsa. On today's show, we'll be previewing Resurgence, reviewing the first few nights of the Super Junior Tag League, answering listener questions, and covering all the latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts and columns over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/Social Suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWworld.com, with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and shared playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. Young boy Chris, how you guys doing?
Yo, hello.
Awkward pause. I was gonna defer to my guest. You know,
I had to hit the mute button, or unhit the mute button. I was over here burping. I had to clear the throat from our marathon session that I'm sure is ahead of us.
He wasn't ready.
I figured we were gonna keep it short tonight. I mean, I got a couple shows. We can breeze through those.
I have never been on this podcast and not gone for 3 hours, so my body is ready.
Why do you keep coming on here?
It's because I come on for the damn preview shows, and we start the fantasy book, and then it's all over.
Dude, the funniest thing is like when we first started the show, and we're just like, man, I wonder if it's gonna be enough New Japan to cover. I think we'll try and do like an hour and a half every week, maybe throw in some Ring of Honor if we have to fill time. Now, almost 200 episodes later, we're doing, 3 hours almost every week. Easy.
Last week, we did a smooth 2 hours last week. I was proud of us.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of, shows to review. There's a lot of news to talk about, but not a lot to review last week.
Well, we got a lot this week.
Got the Super Junior Tag League.
Oh, yeah, baby.
It's happening.
You know what? I've been pleasantly surprised. It's been better than I anticipated.
Always pleasantly surprised with everything the juniors do. Always.
Well, before we talk about Super Junior Tag League, we're going to talk about Resurgence, which is coming up this Saturday. All three of us will be live in the building. All three of us media credential. Be hanging out, enjoying some live New Japan action. We got a great card here for the show. Like I was talking to Chris before we went on the air. This card ended up being much better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I was still expecting a pretty good card, but was not expecting Ishii or Ace when this show was announced a few weeks ago. So let's take a look at the card. We can run through the card, preview this show, and
listen, we're gonna have to establish something here. I usually don't speak. I usually let Chris go next. Chris is looking at me like, "Are you gonna say something?" Like,
what am I supposed to say about that? He said what I said. We were on the you big leagued us, and you showed up late tonight.
Listen,
so Jeremy and I have already gone through this, and he was recounting everything that he and I had talked about.
Okay, well,
so that's on you. He shared my opinion for me.
I was in the restroom. Okay,
you were literally on camera.
I messaged Jeremy. I made him very aware.
Well,
all right. So let's talk about Resurgence, guys. So the show's gonna open up. Well, first of all, show is airing 11 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Jeez,
so late. You're East Coast time. I'm Central, so I'm looking at that like, oh my god.
It's still like 10 p.m. for you, right?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m. for me. I mean, even listen, I'm the guy that gets up at 4 a.m. for G1 shows or whatever, but like, dang. That's like California time. Like we're doing it for real.
If you're trying to watch this live, get your energy drinks, get your coffee ready, take your naps because if you're on the East Coast, starting at 11, it's probably going to be at least 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours show. So
yeah, let's say it goes minimum.
Well, so that's 8 a.m. in Japan. So like I guess that's kind of cool. Like that's probably why they timed like Strong and this that way.
I assumed that was probably part of it, that it might be favorable. But, like, if you're over here, it's probably going to upwards of, like, 2 a.m. So, I mean, I don't know,
It's kind of like watching a UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's kind of like a built-in – I mean, there's a market and audience for that. That's already, like, established. It's not like where they're trying to kind of regain a foothold here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like New Japan is inclined to go with, favorable local time. And then if that happens to land them with, I guess like normal waking hours in Japan, that's probably a big benefit.
Yeah.
So show's going to open up. Well, first of all, I should also mention, so live Japanese commentary on New Japan World, English commentary on Fight TV, $19.99. English on New Japan World will be up on tape delay, so I'm guessing maybe a few days later. So if you want to watch it live, though, English Fight TV, $19.99. Show is going to start. There's going to be a special dark match at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Guys, any predictions or any guesses of what this special dark match could be?
Rambo.
36-minute Rambo.
It's always a Rambo. Why wouldn't it be a Rambo? Well, big show, big card, I'm
trying to think of who's been around but isn't on the card. And like the card is full of all your typical guys from Strong, right? As well as some obviously special guests and things of the sort. So, but then I also wonder like if there's someone that they have worked with that can't be broadcast for some reason.
Maybe like
there's so many angles.
Could be like the NXT release invitational. You bring in Bronson Reed, you bring in Taylor Russ, all those guys that got released, you bring them over,
I don't think that 30 days are up. So
yeah.
Oh, maybe it's a women's match, and that's why they can't air it. Just because they refuse to, but they want to appease the local smarks who are going to be outraged that there's no women on the show. Be like, we gave them a dark match. It's gonna be like Allison Kay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would, in a non-COVID world, you would think, maybe you send some Stardom women over, do a special Stardom match, but they're in the middle of the 5-star Grand Prix, and I'm sure there's travel issues there, getting people out from that tournament to come here, so I don't think that's going to be the case.
Kevin Knight's not on the card, is he?
That's what I was gonna say. In all seriousness, it's probably gonna be. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
We had a major. Jeremy, you see that picture I sent? That looked like I thought a tornado was touching down by the house. It was kind of crazy. So excuse the noise, but all the dojo boys that are not on the card, they're all prime candidates.
It could be like Kevin Knight versus the DKC.
Yeah, that's
right.
Like, so, just a Young Lions singles match, because as you go into the card, you kind of build out, and you've got Alex Coughlin over here, but I think that's probably the likely scenario. Just kind of a warm up thing.
Yeah,
maybe Okada.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, in black trunks, getting warmed up for Okada Omega 5 at All Out.
I'm pretty sure we're getting Cobb Okada on the dark match here.
Yeah, just give us a little taste for the Wrestle Grand Slam.
Just make it a trilogy.
Just a preview, yeah.
Well, let's talk about what's going to be actually on the card. So the official card is going to kick off with Carl Fredericks answering the challenge from Alex Coughlin. Coughlin has been doing this challenge series on NJPW Strong. He's faced off against Josh Alexander and PJ Black. And now he's facing off against one of his LA Dojo peers, the Alpha Wolf, Carl Fredericks. What do you guys think about this one?
This is his third labor?
Yes, the third labor of Coughlin.
Nice.
I think, it gets Fredericks on the card, even though he hasn't had a ton going on lately, and I think it might get him back kind of in the swing of things. And then Coughlin's as close to ready to go as I would imagine. I don't know that he excursions. Like, I don't know where you go from this situation. Wow.
It's storming over here, guys. I invoked the name Kazuchika Okada.
The Rainmaker.
The Rainmaker, buddy.
But I think Coughlin, this is his equivalent to, maybe not equivalent, but the Uemura and Tsuji series. So it at least is kind of a parallel. So I think this will be a fun match. I mean, both these guys can go. I know Fredericks has been wrestling in some indies and stuff too. So I'm excited to see him in front of a crowd again.
Keep it short. Big fan of both of these guys. They've had some great matches against each other in the past. So, obviously they're in different parts of their career at this point. But kind of echoing the sentiments of Chris here, just, it's kind of a parallel of what we saw with Tsuji Uemura recently, what Alex Coughlin's going through. And really look forward to seeing this match, kind of unfold and kind of see Coughlin prove himself,
Yeah, should be a very fun opener. Fredericks has the winning record in their one-on-one matches. Fredericks has 3 wins against Coughlin. They have 1 draw. So good chemistry in the matches they had previously in Japan. And this is going to be just another stepping stone for Coughlin's graduation. So we move down the card. We have a 6-man tag with Fred Rosser, Rocky Romero, and Wheeler Utah taking on Clark Connors, Ren Narita, and TJP. A few story elements to point out here. On the Clark Connors team, we've seen Clark Connors and TJP been having some miscommunication and just some issues as they've teamed up recently on Strong. And then also you have Ren Narita having some issues with Fred Rosser this past week on Strong. And we've also seen Clark Connors and Rocky Romero had some issues as well. So a lot of tension built up with a lot of the men in this matchup here.
One other interesting piece of, or something that was interesting that happened recently, something of note, when Rocky Romero and Fred Rosser teamed together on the most recent Strong, they seem to have been stringing together particular double team moves that almost implied a cohesiveness. Maybe we're going to see them working together again in the future. They kind of alluded to that during the post-match comments. So while you've got sort of the team of TJP and Connors, having issues, it seems like Rosser and Rocky Romero are they're gelling together a little bit better than the other side.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, this again, it's going to be a fun 6-man match. I think we'll see Connors featured because I think he's the guy that we want to highlight out of this group. And then, of course, you're going to get some story advancement, I think, in regards to some of these kind of interpersonal pieces, right? So, like, you know, Connors and TJP have had this kind of long-standing thing, right? So hopefully you see some advancement here on a bigger stage, right? And then, you know, I'm excited to see Fred Rosser. I'm excited to see him, you know, work in the flesh and see, you know, what he's really got going on for him. And but yeah,
Mr. No Days Off.
Mr. No Days Off. He's been great on Strong, and I'm sure he's angling for a larger role with New Japan, as he should. And you know, I would love to see him get a good tour in Japan. But you know, maybe World Tag League with Rocky. Maybe Rocky can bulk up and go heavyweight for some WTL.
And something else too we have to keep in mind as we are previewing this match is that there are the Strong tapings that will be happening on Monday the 16th. So I'm sure some of the stuff that we see here in these multi-man, some of the matches are going to, you know, kind of peeled into what can possibly take place at those Strong tapings.
Yeah, Chris, you're going to be at those tapings. We're going to have to go home before then, so we're kind of jealous of you.
Yeah, I've slapped the mute on Twitter so you don't get spoiled. I'm just kidding. I would never.
Gonna send out the scoops.
Scoops.
Well, if you do anything like that, I'm going to tell the office, and then they're going to pull a JJ on you, okay?
Tell the office. The office who knows I'll be there.
Yeah, they know your face. They'll have pictures of you ready to go. They'll make you delete all the photos off your camera, and they'll kick you out and ban you from life.
Kind of like posting GIFs.
Yes. But yeah, really looking forward to this match. Not sure what to expect, but like you mentioned, Jeremy, I'm sure with all these guys being regulars and Strong and so many story elements kind of on the surface there, we'll kind of get a better feeling for what the conflict is between certain characters going into the next set of tapings.
Yeah. So we move on to the next matchup. We have another multi-man matchup here. We have the Violence Unlimited team of Brody King and the Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson teaming up with Fred Yehai, Leo Rush, and Uemura coming to the U.S. for Excursion. They'll be taking on the newly boosted up Team Filthy, Danny Limelight, Jarrell Nelson, J.R. Kratos, Royce Isaacs, and Filthy Tom Lawler. So this past week, on Strong, the West Coast wrecking crew of Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs have joined Team Filthy. Team Filthy upping their numbers here.
Yeah, Team Filthy is interesting. You know, we talked about, like, over the past few years, people are always asking us about, like, stables in New Japan. Like, what one guy would you switch for this one guy over to this group? You know, if you had to change, you know, one leader of a group, what would you do? And very rarely is there too much, you know, turnover in groups. But like Team Filthy is like, they're just going through the members already. Like this group's like changed more in like 6 months than most of the other stables in New Japan have in like 6 years.
Yeah, and it's been kind of that way for wherever Team Filthy's at. I've seen a lot of Team Filthy in MLW and just the way their contracts are set up and the way people get signed. Team Filthy has changed so much over the years in MLW too.
I'm more intrigued by the kind of, I guess, the Violence Unlimited side of this. I mean, like, some of these wrestlers are some of my favorite guys going right now. I mean, Dickinson and Brody King's been on fire every time he's showed up on Strong. Curious to see what Leo Rush is up to, you know, in his, I guess, retirement phase. Fred Yehai is awesome. Fred Yehai shows up in AAW in Chicago all the time. He's incredible. And I was excited to see Uemura added to this. So it looks like Uemura would be spending some time in the U.S. As the beginning of his excursion, at least. And that's my boy. I mean, that's the guy I would mortgage my future for. So that side I think is going to be fun to watch. So, but you know, obviously the Team Filthy side is kind of the team, right? So you got to expect that maybe they've got something up their sleeve that they can work it out better than kind of a little bit of a mishmash of the other side of the ring.
I would tend to agree with you, but I think the constant rotation of guys with Team Filthy is kind of at play here. Like, West Coast Wrecking Crew are part of Team Filthy, but they only just joined at the tail end of the last episode. So they're almost, a completely new unit as well. So it's not like they're super, familiar with one another, as far as tag teaming goes.
Yeah, I think another thing to look out for, too, is the kind of slow burn that they've been doing with Lio Rush and Filthy Tom Lawler. After Lawler had his last defense, Lio Rush kind of came face to him in the post-match comments. And then this Friday on Strong, in the main event, Lio Rush will be teaming up with Crawford to take on Filthy Tom and Danny Limelight. So clearly kind of planting some seeds there for potentially a Lio Rush, Tom Lawler Strong title match, which will probably happen at those Strong tapings. So maybe Lio pulls an upset win here, pins Filthy Tom or pins somebody on the Team Filthy team to add more claim to him being the next challenger.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I saw the lineup for Friday, but for some reason it didn't register. I'm like, oh yeah, like we're gonna have to consume that, a day before we go see the show to kind of be caught up with exactly what's going on with this feud. Because prior to that match, there's only been the one face-off that was literally post-match, and like if you turned off the show at the end of the match, you might have even missed it, And since then, there's been no mention of that stare down and that challenge. And now, like you mentioned, they're facing off in tag team action the Friday night before this, and then in this 10-man tag. So, like you mentioned, kind of a slow burn there.
It should be a fun one, though. I like a big multi-man.
The only thing that would have made this better is had they done the Josh Smith special and gone 10-man elimination rules. Over the top rope, because I love that. Actually, lately I haven't loved it in New Japan, but some of those classic ones from the 80s, yeah, give me that. The other thing, too, keep in mind the ongoing rivalry between Violence Unlimited and Team Filthy. That's also at play here, so a bit of history as well. Really looking forward to this one, and especially since it does have the Strong Openweight champion and, the main kind of controlling faction involved here. I expect maybe even a few stories to kind of blossom out of this match going into the tapings.
Yeah, two questions for you guys before we move on. First, what are you guys' thoughts on the fact of not having Filthy Tom defend the title on a big show like this here in the U.S.?
Well, I think we kind of pegged it. He's probably going to defend on the taping the next night. It's not a Strong show. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. Is like, this is not an episode of Strong. This is a different show. And I think that's where that title slotted. That title slotted for Friday nights on NJPWWorld.com.
Kind of like a TV title.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I wouldn't put it past it kind of, coming out of that at some point. But I think for right now, that is where it lives. And I think that is kind of a cool feature of that show, is that's the thing that you go after on those tapings or at that show.
I don't totally agree. I would say this. I think at some point down the line, I can almost guarantee, as that title kind of gets established, there will be some big show out there where the Strong title is utilized. I just feel that's it. That's the future for it. Greedily, I did kind of want and hope and expect for them to do the Strong title match on the Resurgence show. But from a business perspective, they don't need it. This show's sold out. They've got 4 tickets remaining. It's a super strong lineup. And, they're going to basically turn around and use that as one of the highlights, like Chris mentioned, for the Strong tapings, which makes sense. So, as much as I'm disappointed not being able to get that live, because I feel like had we had that, considering like the list of singles matches we had, if you like put that on here, you're talking about like pushing this over to like show of the year kind of contendership. It's not maybe going to be quite that, but I'm fine with it because it, business sense, it makes the most sense from a business perspective.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you guys. I guess my only kind of argument against it, or argument to have him on a singles match, would have been, there's probably a lot of fans who've kind of checked out of New Japan, and you got this first big U.S. show. You got, Tanahashi, Ishii. A lot of fans are going to be checking this show out. it might have been good to be like, look, here's a strong openweight champion, Filthy Tom. He's been killing it. He's having a title match to kind of get fans more educated on the title and get a cool title match. But I guess that they can accomplish that in the 10-man tag, and kind of the announcers, I'm sure Kevin Kelly will do a great job explaining all the back history and explaining how Tom became champion. So should be good.
Well, that's a task that's in front of them. So, they can't just go out there and have a by the numbers 10-man tag when this kind of audience is watching and when there's so much riding on it. Like, every time you have that many new viewers watching, it really falls on them to showcase the best guys in the best light.
Yeah. Then my second question, real quick, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but thoughts on Yuya Uemura doing his excursion in the United States?
Where else? I mean, obviously we know Tsuji's in the UK. He's heading to Rev Pro. So I didn't think they were going to send them both to the same place, and there's not a lot going on in Mexico right now. So the US it makes the most sense. There's probably the most to do here too. I mean, to be honest, like with all the relationships that have built, he could pop up in Impact. He could pop up on AEW Dark. He's going to do probably a bunch of Strong tapings or any of the, the US shows. So it makes the most sense. He's got the most work to do here.
Chris made a lot of great points. I won't, reverberate all those, but one extra piece of this is the very fact that he's going to be in that LA dojo. And, people have kind of compared him to like Tanahashi and Fujinami and all these guys from the past. And I'm like, but let's inject some Shibata-ism into this boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, once we get some Shibata-ism into him, like,
yes,
there's no telling like what a violent Yuya Uemura is going to be like a blood hungry, like, just war thirsting, like, fucking killer. Like, I can't wait. I hope that that's exactly what comes out of this.
Yeah, I think US was a great spot. We've had several questions the last couple of weeks asking where do we think these guys are going to end up, and we kind of highlight the US. It's one of the hot spots to go. Like you mentioned, Chris, there's Impact, Dark, there's a ton of West Coast indies, there's a ton of places these guys can end up, and I think it'll be very beneficial for Uemura. He's going to be on some of the Strong tapings coming up, and so I think the U.S. is going to be a great place for him to get a lot of experience. Like you mentioned, Josh, being under the eye of Shibata, it has to be, excellent things for his career.
Very exciting.
So then we move on. Our next matchup on the card, which was announced out of nowhere last week. The Stone Pit Bull, Big Tom, Tomohiro Ishii will be taking on Moose. And this is not the first time that these guys have faced off in a singles action. These guys faced back in the day in Ring of Honor in 2016, where Ishii got a victory over Moose during one of those co-branded tours. So running it back a few years later, guys, we're getting the Stone Pit Bull in a singles match against Moose. How do you feel about this one?
I mean, I was shocked when this got announced. Just honestly for the fact of Ishii coming in, but then also, booking Moose on the show. This should be fun. This should be this is a match that you look at these two dudes on paper and honestly their recent body of work, and you got to figure like they're gonna hit the hell out of each other. And the styles of both of them should be pretty complementary. So I think this is gonna be a really good time.
Yeah, the prospects of the match are super exciting. It kind of reminds me of some of those ROH New Japan, like in the middle of the card super show type of matches.
Like a Ishii versus Punishment Martinez kind of thing?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was getting to, that sort of thing. So very, very exciting. Stylistically, it's just going to be off the hook. Ishii is going to beat the shit out of Moose. It's going to be so cool. Moose, though, the very fact that he's on this card kind of probably means that maybe there's going to be more of him in the future based on the Impact partnership, and I'm not opposed to that at all. He's like one of the few guys in New Japan or in Impact that I'm like, yeah, he gels really well with the New Japan sort of vibe. So really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, this should be, our never style, hard-hitting Haas matchup here. Moose has been looking great in Impact, had a great match with Kenny Omega recently, so yeah, I'm expecting heavy hits. Ishii told us he loves to smash, and it's exactly what I'm expecting. These guys, these two bulls just going at it. Josh, you mentioned a good point. This could open the door for Moose to do more things at New Japan. We had a question from Dom Homie 101. Is it possible that this match could be a setup for Moose's G1 appearance?
Maybe in like 3 years. he's got to work his way up. Like, if he beats like your Yujiros and your Chase Owenses and Hanma, and he gets above those guys, then maybe he could earn contendership into a G1 in like 2023.
If travel wasn't so challenging to get into Japan specifically, it wouldn't surprise me given the current circumstances if we saw someone like Moose entered into the G1. But I just don't think that that's feasible currently.
Right.
Right. So like, it wouldn't surprise me if you saw Moose on one block and then, I don't know, some sort of kind of mid-level heavyweight from AEW on another block. Right. So that wouldn't have shocked me to see those kind of people entered into the tournament, but unless they had that ball rolling a long time ago, I don't think that that's feasible this year, or unless they're doing a US block, which I don't think they're doing. That's not a real thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the current Impact taping schedules are. I know he just recently re-signed with Impact, and I know he's kind of a key player in a lot of the stuff they do. So I'm not sure if he'd be able to miss time from Impact. I don't know if the taping schedule will work out where he could come over or not. Probably not. So I'm not expecting Moose this year. I would expect probably Moose on Strong. We got a lot of Strong tapings coming up, and especially if he gets a win here somehow, that could potentially have him on Strong. Maybe he challenges Filthy Tom in the future.
Well, that was going to be the next point that I was going to make, and you kind of brought it up there, Jeremy. I mean, my knee-jerk reaction is Ishii beats Moose because, it's Ishii. He's a long-time established star in New Japan, and, sometimes in these sort of matches that don't really have, like, stakes involved, he usually comes out on top. He only really loses when it matters, it seems like. But if I'm New Japan and I don't have a strong contender for Filthy Tom Lawler, let's say for the next set of tapings, and especially since it's going to be live in front of fans, and I want people to be clamoring for whoever it is that's challenging for the Strong title next, I might have Moose beat Ishii to give him an instant boost of credibility and make him an initial contender for that Strong title day one. I don't know that that's what they're going to do. I think if either guy can afford the loss because it's kind of low stakes either way. And it's not like Moose, it's not like anyone's getting damaged here. Like if they want to keep using Moose after that, it'd be fine. But if I want to get him ready for one of those, like what are the Texas or Philly tapings, like right out the gate, you have him beat Ishii clean. And I kind of think they might do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Moose wins this.
Because it's Ishii.
Right.
Right.
He's gonna that's the thing. He in America, especially, like he's immune to this. Like he's immune to a loss. Like he'll get his big wins, and he beat Jay White in the he beat Jay White in the G1 last year, et cetera, right? But like he'll take a loss, and it'll mean something, especially with the crowd. I mean, that crowd's gonna be nuts for Tomohiro Ishii. Like they're gonna be all, and Moose better work heel, right? So like, like because if he doesn't, he's doing it wrong. But yeah, this should be. I think Moose should win this. I think that's the more interesting prospect going forward.
Oh man, we've talked ourselves into watching fucking Ishii lose live. Like I don't like this.
No, well, I figure he gets his win back in somewhere or another at the Strong tapings, and since you guys are booking it, I'm sorry. Like at least I'll be there for that.
I was gonna go with Big Tom getting the win here since he is confirmed for the Strong tapings. We don't know if Moose will be up on those tapings or not. So going with Ishii here.
Well, if you wanted to if Ishii's sticking around and you want to heat him up for a strong title shot against Lawler, you have him beat Moose.
That's a fun match, though.
Yeah, Tom and
Yeah,
Tom versus Tom
match. That's fine.
Oh, I would mark so hard for Tom Lawler against Tomohiro Ishii. Oh my God.
Big Tom versus Filthy Tom. Book it. But let's move on to the next matchup here. We have the finessers of the year, the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson, going against the Death Rider, Jon Moxley, and a mystery partner. Did have a request here.
I heard it was Seth Rollins.
You mean Tyler Black?
Yeah.
Did have a request here from the Reddit user, the Peaky Blinder. He says, if it's not too late, could I please put out a request for your impression of Yuji Nagata saying, Mr. Jon Moxley? You were saying it on a weekly basis, and then it stopped. It was spot on, and I believe it's a tradition that should continue, much like saying Ichiban at the end of the show. So, guys, who do you think is going to be the partner for Mr. Jon Moxley against the Good Brothers?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll go first because I've mentioned it on the show for a few weeks now. I'm pretty confident it's going to be Sami Callihan. There are other options and there's other theories out there, but to me, I think he's the guy that's going to be the tag team partner. It's just my gut instinct.
The only other guy that I don't see on this card that you could weave into this is Juice Robinson. Because he's not wrestling on the card. I assume he's going to corner Finlay. But he's got some history with Moxley. Maybe, I don't know. You work it out. But he's got some history with Anderson and Gallows.
He could wrestle and then also still corner.
Sure.
And get that double pay.
That double pay. Yeah. Well, he's got his manager's license, right?
Yeah. Go to the pay window twice.
Do you think Juice Robinson didn't go to the California State Athletic Commission and get his manager's license? Of course he did.
So that's my only thought here. I mean, I'd rather be super surprised with somebody less obvious, someone that's not announced for the show, but not on the card. Which is, they announced Juice is one of the talent that is coming in. Obviously, this was probably gonna be Shooter. And maybe it wasn't even going to be a surprise if it was Shota Umino, but he can't get into the country. So, now we're faced with X, and hopefully X is fun. Hopefully it's someone cool. Maybe it's Nick Gage. I don't know.
Yeah, it could.
It could be.
Yeah. In that California scene, I know GCW, I think they had a show there recently. You just had PWG there. There could be some of those guys kind of lingering around. You could have a luchador pop up randomly on this show.
There's always Eddie Kingston as well.
Yeah, which we did get pointed out from the Pure Reporter on Twitter saying, who do y'all think X is going to be and why is it Eddie Kingston? But Twitter follower Just a Little Bear 01 pointed out that Kingston is booked for a show in New York the same day. So I don't think it'll be Eddie Kingston.
Nice sleuthing.
Well, I mean, Chris Jericho had that concert and then Tony Khan put him on a private jet and he showed up as Pentagon Jr. So, I mean, who's to say, that the IWGP committee hasn't shelled out the big bucks to make sure Kingston's at the show? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He works the opener of the Rinky Dink show in New York and then jumps on a private jet,
And that's why the show had to start at 8.
Yeah.
That Obari money.
I'm
trying to work the math out of whether or not that's even possible. I'm sure it's not.
If the show in New York starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I mean, there's plenty of time. He works the opener, jumps on the plane. It could be him. He could do it.
That's a fast jet.
Oh, yeah. Well, the IWGP spares no expense when it comes to Eddie Kingston.
I think, I don't know, just kind of gut feeling. I'm feeling Sami Callihan as a partner here just based off of Impact's involvement on this show. And he has issues with the super elite on Impact right now. He's had a 6-man tag last week, so him and Moxley, former team, the Switchblades on the Indies back of the day. So yeah, I'm going with a Switchblade or Union here with them against the Good Brothers, and I'm going with Moxley and his partner winning.
Oh, they've got to win this, right?
I mean,
Anderson and Gallows have hardly lost anything since.
Yeah, but Moxley never loses.
Sometimes.
Oh, he lost to Toriano.
Yeah, but I mean, that's Toriano. He's an agent of chaos. Like, anybody could lose to him.
I mean, this is completely a tangent, but I loved the booking of Moxley's G1, where like he came out super hot, and then they were like, "But it's the G1, and he's gonna lose a bunch at the end," and then he did, and it was awesome. It was like the perfect way to book his G1.
My favorite.
If you want him to look strong, but also not win the damn thing.
My favorite thing about that was Josh just like freaking out that Moxley was winning so much, and he was so pissed that Moxley beat Ishii and like steamrolled him. I was like, bro, this is great. He's like, what the hell? He just beat Ishii. He's beating everybody. This guy from New York is coming in our territory, beating all our guys.
Oh God, we need to find that audio. It's so funny. No, the funniest part of it was like when we were in a group chat and our friends. What year is that? 2019, 2018,
yeah. 2019.
So by 2019, Taichi, that's his first like G1, but he'd already like kind of heated up. But for the guys that kind of just parachute in, Taichi's still in their mind by 2019. He's still like 2017, 2016 Taichi. And I was like, yeah, Taichi could maybe beat Jon Moxley in the G1. And they're like, are you smoking rocks? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, Taichi's not beating no Mox. And I'm like, bro, it's the G1. He absolutely, I'm not saying he will, but he could. And then Mox went out there and squashed that man so hard. And everyone's like, see? This man's talking about he could beat Taichi. I'm like, but Taichi's been good this year, guys. It was embarrassing.
Oh, man.
You got to get out of these group chats, man.
But it was with our friends, like our personal close friends. Anyway, so yeah, Mox and whoever he's with, I think they're winning. Yeah, hopefully. It would suck to watch the Good Brothers win on the big show.
Yeah, I mean, but they did just win Tag Team Turbulence.
Yeah, that's for them.
I hope they come out with their fists. Their fists.
Their high school amateur wrestling fist trophies.
Awesome. They will. They're going to have those dumb trophies.
Yeah.
They have to.
Well, the next match of the night is double main evento.
Yeah, we have 2 main events this night. So double main event number 1 for the never open weight title. Switchblade Jay White will be defending against David Finlay. And of course, this match, you might forgot, this came about with David Finlay getting that big upset win in the New Japan Cup, eliminating Jay White in an awesome matchup. So this match seemed like it was slotted for Wrestle Grand Slam back in May. But we're finally getting it here. Long story rivalry between these two going back to their Young Lion days. They're got a record of 10-2. Jay has 10 wins over Finlay. Finlay's only beaten him twice. But do you guys think Finlay can pull another upset here and take home the never openweight championship? I believe this will be his first singles championship, right? If he wins this,
it would be. Maybe. I mean, the New Japan Cup match was great. Finlay looks awesome in it. Jay White, how long does he hold on to the never openweight championship? Like, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of just holding it and it's dormant right now. So he hasn't done much with it because he's been in the US. So, but maybe this is his opportunity to, get a good defense under his belt and then kind of take it on the road. So this could go either way, really. Depends where we want to head with it. But I think it's kind of a toss-up. It's more of a toss-up than it would have been before Finlay beat Jay in the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I'm still kind of holding on to the idea that management intends for the never openweight title to kind of be the main secondary belt. But like you mentioned, Chris, it's been kind of dormant. So maybe those plans are maybe plans have changed, you know? So I don't know exactly. That does open up the possibility that Dave Finlay could beat him, and that'd be quite a moment, you know, especially considering their history and the feud and how many times he's been beaten by Jay White. But I'm going to go with the old adage, you know, death, taxes, and Jay White beats Dave Finlay.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Jay White getting the win over Finlay here, just based off of some of the stuff they've been doing at Impact. So a lot of this match has been built up on Impact TV. You had Chris Bay getting involved here as Beyblade has been feuding against Finjuice on Impact, and it just seems like they're kind of pushing Jay White and trying to make him, you know, hot in the U.S. and especially with the Bullet Club, getting Chris Bay in Bullet Club. So I think Jay White will get the win here, kind of be the top name on these Strong tapings, defend that Never title. We mentioned earlier about Juice second in Finlay. I think it's a possibility that we could see Chris Bay second Jay White here, kind of establish him as a Bullet Club member. Maybe he even helps Jay gets the win, and we see this storyline continue to play out on Impact TV. So then that
plausible.
Yeah, that's probably the likely scenario.
Probably what's happening.
Spoiler.
Now we go to double main event number 2 for the IWGP United States Heavyweight title. The Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer will defend against the Ace Hiroshi Tanahashi. First time these guys are meeting since the G1 in 2019. Overall, these guys have faced each other 3 times. Tanahashi has beaten Archer all 3 times. Tanahashi looking to bring the U.S. title back to Japan here.
Why is this the main event?
Because it's the Ace of the Universe.
Yeah, but I mean, the last time I saw a card in America with both of these guys, Tanahashi was tapping out in the mid card, and you know Jay White was selling out MSG. I don't understand. I thought he was the big draw here in America, Jay White.
Correction, the last time we saw the Ace was here in Tampa.
Oh,
yeah. I said both of these men.
Archer was there. Archer was there too on that card.
I'm talking about Jay White. You know, Jay White needs to be in the main event. He's the draw, right? That's what they told me.
You've been worked, sir.
To be honest, though, this show was very close to sold out before they announced Hiroshi Tanahashi on it. Anyway,
that is true.
And Jay White's match was the first match and the only match announced for a little while there. So
that is true.
You know, I'll play into that narrative. I could back that. So and Tanahashi comes in and takes the credit for putting it over the edge. And,
Jeremy, but when you were giving your prediction at the end of the last thing, you should have said, "That's not a prediction, ladies and gentlemen. That's a promise."
That's not a prediction.
That's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler.
Yeah, this match is going to be awesome. The last time I saw these two guys wrestle, that G1 match, it was just freaking awesome. I'm expecting Lance Archer to just go all out the way he did in the G1 a couple years ago. Big show. You know, wrestling the Ace in a high profile, high stakes match. This is going to be just so great. And, you know, the last time I saw Tanahashi in a singles match live, you know, I had to see him, you know, eat the Rainmaker, and I didn't like that. So I want to see him high fly flow. I want to see him do the Aces high. I want to see him play the air guitar at the end of the night, you know, do the air hugs. I'm ready for it.
Yes. Send us home happy. I think this match is going to be awesome. I think that these guys, I think Archer's been really good in AEW, but I'm excited to see him back in a little bit more of a traditional wrestling role, right? Where he's got to step up a little bit, right? Because he's good. He's really good at that. Every time I've seen Archer live and he comes and does Warrior Wrestling in Chicago, and I saw him in New York with New Japan, he is so good. He's good with the crowd. He's good, you know, regardless of kind of which role he's playing, right? Champion, challenger, good guy, bad guy, etc. So he's fun to be in the same building with. He's a nice dude. I'm excited to see him come out in a main event in America on a New Japan show with a title. I think that's awesome. It's awesome for him. I love that he won that match against Moxley, because I had a feeling that it was setting something up like this. I didn't think it was going to be Tanahashi, but I'll take it. So, but I do think that this is how we get the U.S. championship, the IWGP U.S. championship, back to Japan, so that they have another singles title to work with. Because as we kind of discussed, the never openweight title's gonna hang out in America for a little while with Jay White or David Finlay. Either of those guys, they're both booked on all those Strong tapings. So either way, that never openweight championship is not coming back to Japan just yet. So I think, in order to get another singles championship in Japan, not that they necessarily need it during G1 season, but it is nice to have a couple of guys coming out with belts, and you can set some stuff up with that big tournament. So I think Tanahashi wins. I think we go home happy. I think Lance Archer puts on a show, and I think hopefully his relationship is still good with New Japan and he can continue on that way. I think this was a really cool sign that he won that title on an AEW show, and he gets to come and do this show in America, where he's been pretty important to this brand for a couple years now, at least.
Yeah, excellent points there, Chris. Absolutely agree with you guys. I think the Ace is going to win the U.S. title. Like you mentioned, that never title is going to be probably here in the U.S. I think these titles are going to, flip-flop. We've had the U.S. title stuck here in the States for so long, while the never title was in Japan, and now I think we're going to see the roles reversed, with the never title being here stateside, U.S. title being in Japan. They can use that. We've talked about the extensive schedule they're running. They could always use some hot main events. You could use that U.S. title in the main events in a lot of these shows they're doing. They got these dome shows coming up. Nothing announced yet for Tanahashi. You could have Tanahashi come back, do a big U.S. title match on those shows. Tanahashi do some other stuff building up to G1. And again, just have him as a champion in there. Somebody could beat him in the G1. You set up a match for the Tokyo Dome with that U.S. title.
Yeah, this man Tanahashi finagled his way back into the number 2 title spot. Like, how did that happen? We don't know, but it did. So, great to see that. Earlier today, I was I heard from our good friend Karen. She said, I can't wait for Hiroshi Tanahashi to become the president of the United States. Or no. What did she say? I have to look it up. I'm botching it. She said, I look forward to hopefully our new IWGP US heavyweight president.
Oh, man.
And I concur. Yeah. So Tanahashi winning on the big stage. I can't wait.
We had a question here from Reddit user PSan91. Do you think we see any big surprise announcements or debuts at Resurgence? I think the last time NJPW had any big debut was Dominion 2019, which I was there live for, where Kenta was introduced by Shibata, and Kenta saying he was joining New Japan for the G1.
I don't put it past them. This is the first show with fans in the U.S. They've got a series of big tapings on the horizon, and the idea that they might have new people introduced via storyline or what have you. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did something like that.
I think this is our best shot at doing something big and making a splash. And if someone's going to show up, someone's going to show up, right? I mean, here's the other thing. Moxley's already planted the seed for Tanahashi's situation. So maybe that's a stare down that happens at the end of the show, right? And maybe that's
right.
That happens sometime soon on one of those big AEW shows, or that's not necessarily a surprise. That's just an angle, but that's kind of what I hope for. I don't know. I mean, the only other people that could show up are Kenny and the Young Bucks, right? And
man, that's what I was gonna say.
Listen, if that happens, all bets are off, right?
Yeah, because the Bucks live in California. Kenny, he has Triple Mania next weekend. He's got to be in Mexico to face Andrade. He can be in California, hop the border over the next day for Triple Mania. You could have the Elite backing up the Good Brothers, or maybe, Jay White confronted Kenny after his last big match. Maybe you have Kenny confront Jay White after he beats David Finlay.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but when you think of the possibility, why did they tease Kenny and Jay White if they're not going to move forward with it? That would be something if just Kenny just showed up, and crashed his party the same way that he did to him on Impact. That would make a huge wave. Oh my God. I'm like, my heart's like palpitating.
The pure.
But wouldn't that be the main event, the real main event then though?
No, because all he'd be doing is just walking out.
I know it. Don't you usually do that at the end of the show?
No,
I know you can do it in the middle, right? But like if you got Kenny Omega showing back up at a New Japan show, isn't that the thing you go off the air with?
Nah, that's how stacked this show is. That's how stacked this show is. The other thing too is obviously we're getting a Mr. X. Now, Mr. X could be Mr. New Japan, or it could be someone. What I mean is someone who works for New Japan, or it could be Mr. Outside, person that's debuting that we don't even know who it is, and we're all kind of blown away and oh fuck, it's Braun Strowman, that's awesome.
It's the Fiend.
Awesome. Here comes yeah, what could he be instead of the Fiend? I don't know.
The Ghoul.
Yeah, it's the Ghoul. Wyndham Rotunda.
Oh my gosh. Another partner I just thought about for Mox could be Kazarian. He is the elite hunter.
Oh yeah,
very possible.
Yeah, that's fun.
But
that's fun.
Next question here from Rambo and Slam Pig. Where the hell have GOD been lately? Do you think we get an appearance at Resurgence, or will they pop up elsewhere? It's been a while since we have seen them. Could they be challengers for the AEW tag titles at All Out if AEW goes outside the company, as was hinted?
Dude, a year ago, when I was at the Sai Dojo, I met Tangaloa, and they were getting ready to go overseas. And it seems like since that time, when they went to Japan, they've been on a non-stop, never-ending cycle of working dates there. Anytime that they might have come home to America, it had to have been very short-lived. They were there almost all throughout the pandemic. So I'm pretty sure they're getting some very well-deserved R&R at this point in time. And it's probably been beneficial as well, because we got people writing in asking, where are they and when are they coming back? And can't remember the last time someone asked that about GOD. So it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I got the impression that they had just they worked themselves to the bone, right? And they finally got some time to be home, right? Especially as soon as they went to Japan, they were in Japan forever. I mean,
yeah.
They, even during the pandemic and obviously before, they were always there. So they're laying low. They're going to pop up and do something big, right? That's, you gotta figure they're going to show up as part of something, whether it be AEW or Impact or Strong, one of the tapings or whatever. But you got to figure the next time they pop up, they actually get to do something fun and interesting, and probably in America. So that's the impression I was under. So, and I think they're probably trying to figure out what to do with this kind of multifaceted Bullet Club thing, right? And the Elite and the Bullet Club and the Bullet Club Impact now with Chris Bay and Jay White, and then the Bullet Club proper in New Japan. You've got El Phantasmo and Ishimori coming over soon. So I think we're going to start to see some interweaving of some of these Bullet Club members that we don't normally see.
Right. I mean, if GOD were to show up at Resurgence, I think obviously somehow showing up in the Good Brothers match, whether that's distracting the Good Brothers or post-match, Good Brothers are licking their wounds, and then next thing you know, bam, they get a gun stun and ape shit, and GOD lays them out even more. We have a question from Dom Homie 101. He says, if Ishii and Tanahashi wrestling on the Resurgence card, is it possible that we see the Ace and the Stone Pitbull make some appearances on Strong, Impact, and maybe some appearances in Conland?
I don't know why it's got to stop there. Let's go to MLW. Let's do some PWG. Let's show up AAW, IWTV. Oh, Nick Nick Gage is looking for someone to work the boardwalk with him. Like, I don't see why we don't just
Tanahashi death match.
Yeah, like I don't see why we can't do that shit. Like that sounds fun.
Listen, anyone wants to come to AAW, they can sleep on my couch. And they can probably wrestle Juice Robinson in August.
When you say anybody, that offer is extended to us. So we are coming to Chicago.
You can sleep on the couch in the basement. They can have the nice one. But there's a basement couch too, and it's a basement couch, so you know. I mean, they're booked for the Strong taping, in Long Beach, so we know that they're going to be there. They're going to do something there. Tanahashi he's obviously appeared on a video on AEW, so I'm expecting him to show up at AEW at some point. I don't know when or where. There's rumors out there. There's people who talk. I think there's an optimal situation that, I think New Japan really likes New York City is kind of how I can say that, right? Like they put New York City on a pedestal, and they always have when it comes to coming to America. So that's out there.
Their fucking G1 used to be called the MSG League, and it had nothing to do with Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, so we know that New Japan thinks New York City is the mecca of America, and
bee's knees.
To some extent, it kind of is, right? But you could make a case for a couple other cities, but all
right, so Arthur Ashe Stadium, Mox and Tanahashi. Write it down. Chris Samsa has confirmed it.
I haven't confirmed it. But I'm telling you, I think that's the optimal situation. But I think it's going to take a change in Japanese policy to make that happen. Because I don't think Tanahashi is going to miss his 20th consecutive G1 for one match in AEW, right? Like, unless they're shuffling around the booking and he can, I just don't know how he gets the 9 matches in if he's got it 2 weeks after that.
Right.
Well, that's one thing I was just wondering about was like, I don't even know the timing of all this stuff, but we'd speculated when that match might happen. And, unless it's happening on January 4th in the Tokyo Dome and they've already worked it out to where Mox can get to Japan, there really doesn't seem to be another stage to do it in Japan. So it seems like some episode of Dynamite or Rampage or, I don't know, the paper All Out is coming up. I don't know. One of those seem more likely at this point than Japan does.
All Out gives Tanahashi 2 weeks if he's in the B block to make it to the first night. It gives him exactly 2 weeks. So if he works All Out, flies out, technically he's got 2 weeks quarantine. And then he could work B block night 1.
Yeah,
that's how the math works out. And the Arthur Ashe show is like 2 days before, or like it's during the G1. I mean, it's actually during the G1.
Right.
So that seems to be like a stretch.
Yeah, obviously Tanahashi and Ishii, I think, are both guys that would be locked for G1. So if they do anything, I would think it would have to be at All Out, so both of them can make it back in time for G1.
It's cool. I'll be there too.
How about Tanahashi wins and then the lights go out and then you hear the final countdown play?
Oh my gosh. Man.
I mean, we know he wants to come in.
Right. And can you imagine like anyone better for him to work day one than Tanahashi? Like,
oh my gosh.
I know they worked together a long time ago, but it's not the same. Like,
but that's why everyone wants to come to New Japan still. Everyone wants to work Tanahashi.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, no, people say they give you the list or whatever, but Tanahashi's always the first name because he can still go. He can still put on those matches, right? So, Bryan Danielson still wants to come into New Japan because he wants to work Tanahashi in this current state.
Yeah.
And I'm for it. Let's do it.
There's that one video essay by, what's that guy's name? Joseph Monticello, I believe is his name. He does the Walking the King's Road series on YouTube. Very, very, very good. He's got one about why, in his estimation, Daniel Bryan is the all-time greatest wrestler of all time. And it's a really incredible video series. I think it's like an hour long. If you've never seen it, you should definitely check it out. But like, the opposite side of the coin in the same generation to me is Hiroshi Tanahashi. So like, it's got to happen at some point,
Yeah, that would be amazing. Like we've mentioned, Tanahashi and Ishii, they're going to be competing on Strong. They're going to be at the first set of Strong tapings with fans, which are happening on August 16th, a couple days here after Resurgence. And then also, we got the announcement of more Strong tapings with fans. So first, New Japan Strong will be hitting Texas for Autumn Attack in September. It'll be in Texas, September 25th and 26th in the Curtis Caldwell Center. And announced for the show so far, Strong Openweight Champion Filthy Tom Lawler, the Never Openweight Champion Switchblade Jay White, Flamboyant Juice Robinson, David Finlay, the Young Gun Hikuleo, the Man of the Hour Leo Rush, Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser, Big Bad Brody King, the Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson, the Alpha Wolf Carl Fredericks, Risuke Taguchi, and the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. Then there will also...
What? Oh, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
No, I had some fun. Oh, okay. You're going to talk about the Philadelphia show?
Yeah, so that's the other dates will be in Philadelphia at the 2300 Arena. First time in over 2 years that New Japan has been there. It's going to be October 16th and 17th for the New Japan Showdown, which will also feature Filthy Tom Lawler, Jay White, Juice, Finlay, the Phil-Am Flash, TJP, Leo Rush, Fred Rosser, the Wild Rhino, Clark Connors, the Alpha Wolf, Carl Fredericks, and Ren Narita. And we had a question from EMJ Does PR. How do you think all the NJPW action in the United States is playing with the audience in Japan?
Well, before I answer that, one thing I wanted to point out, if you guys have never seen this map, just Google NJPW US map. And like, it reminds me of, it's so great. It's got like all these hubs of the different areas they plan to, go to in the US. And like it says West 6 cities, Mid 7 cities, East 4 cities, Southeast 6 cities. And then there's one that just says Texas. So when you're like, they're going to be going to Texas, not where in Texas, not, Austin or Dallas or Houston or San Antonio. It's like they will be heading to Texas. It just reminds me of that map. Like that's one of their like key areas, Texas. I love it.
So, what was the question?
The question was, how do you think all the NJPW action in the United States is playing with the audience in Japan?
Oh, okay. Everything I've heard is that they really like it. The native audience really enjoys Strong. I think they do a really good job with the Japanese commentary. And the Japanese commentary team really puts over the product there too. And I think, once they see fans in the building too, I mean, I think that, we know that the California show and the California taping are going to be hot crowds, right? Like that's going to be a fun crowd for that Japanese crowd or that Japanese audience to see. Assuming the Texas and Philly shows go relatively well, even I think that gives a whole nother layer to the enjoyment level. I think we've seen that with the United States products that are starting to have fans come back, especially something like AEW and even Impact is like, as soon as you put fans back in those buildings, especially when you were running empty, right? Like Impact ran empty and now you've got Impact, at least with a small crowd. And it makes all the difference in the world. Strong runs empty. These tapings are going to be such a different environment and so much more natural, I think. And the wrestling's still going to be some of the best wrestling on the planet, right? So, but yeah, everything I've heard is that the audience in Japan really enjoys Strong as a part of the New Japan umbrella.
I don't really have anything to add to that because I think on my end, I'm just not as aware or informed about what the Japanese audience's thoughts are. But I mean, everything you said there, Chris, sounds pretty promising. And, hopefully there's a bit of synergy between the two different fan bases. Obviously we enjoy watching the shows over in Japan, especially once the clap crowds kind of go away and some of these restrictions get lifted and we kind of return to a sense of normalcy. I'm sure the crowds are going to get hotter at that point, and vice versa. Them seeing, the U.S. product, presented in front of a hot, LA crowd, that's going to be awesome for everybody. So, I can only imagine.
Yeah, and we've seen the reactions that the LA Dojo Young Lions received when they were in Japan, so I'm sure the Japanese audience is excited for a way to kind of keep tabs on them and be able to watch their growth. And I think once those guys, I know Abari has mentioned bringing Strong over to Japan eventually, I think once you can get some of these LA Dojo guys and some of these Strong guys in front of Japanese credit, I think they're going to pop like crazy. We've seen stuff like Honor Rising, where these New Japan fans, they're smarks, they know what's going on, they know all the American chants, and they follow people. And so I think you get Strong over there, they're going to be digging it, and it's going to be awesome. If
they get Strong, we have to get Kizuna Road.
Is that what you're bargaining?
The whole thing?
You better give us the fucking Kizuna Road tour, son.
You want the whole Kizuna Road tour? All 29 dates? That's that whole map, Josh.
We're already getting Summer Struggle in USA, okay?
Give us a Destruction or a Dantaku. Something.
Dantaku in USA.
No, not in USA. We want the official Dantaku in America.
You know, if it happens in the USA, it has to be in USA.
Just so there's no confusion.
Unless it's in Texas.
Yes. It's Autumn Attack in Texas, not in USA.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was like in mid?
Here's the thing about mid, okay? I'm Chicago, and I understand.
Mid has had no shows.
I understand that I get a lot of wrestling in Chicago and a lot of really good wrestling. But where are you, New Japan? Like, I can book you a building. You can sell thousands of tickets. Like, how has New Japan not run Chicago? The center of United States wrestling at this point, right? Like,
yeah.
How have we not done Chicago? Is that the event announcement we're getting at LA? Because Jesus, we need it. Like, come on. Like, what is happening? This is a good market for wrestling, obviously.
Because the name of your market is mid. That's why.
Mid, right. And it's obviously like, I mean, Tony Khan's just trying to burn out the territory, but like, I think there's still a market for a good, healthy New Japan show. I could book the Odeum in Villa Park for you tomorrow, and it's where Ring of Honor and Impact run. You could put 3,000 people in there and have a great time.
I heard Jeff Jarrett is going to be the U.S. affiliate for New Japan's partnership here in the States. So
Global Force?
Yeah.
My world. GFW. But the big news that's really coming out of these Strong taping announcements is the fact of some of the names on this and what it means for the G1 tournament, which is scheduled for September 18th through October 21st. And that means Jay White, Juice Robinson, Dave Finlay are not going to be in this year's G1. It's just logistically impossible for them to be in two places at the same time. So they'll be here in the U.S. working these Strong tapings. There's been some reporting going on that these guys have kind of had some quarantine fatigue. The quarantine lockdowns that they had to do at the dojo when they come in. And it's kind of wanting to stay stateside. So obviously New Japan Strong and doing these tapings is kind of a way to keep these guys in the fold, keep some top talent here, and not potentially lose them and not force them to come to Japan. So we have a question here from Redizer. Why did you do that, bro? We know a lot of Wrestle Kingdom storylines spin out of the G1. So how does Jay White, also kind of Juice and Finlay, but mostly Jay, missing the biggest tour of the year, impact the booking of both the G1 and Wrestle Kingdom 16?
I mean, I think they've known that this was going to be the case for a little while now. So I don't know that the booking is necessarily impacted unless Jay was flagged to win, which he very well may have, right? Like he's obviously a player in any year's G1 at this point, but I think they've known he wasn't going to be there for a while. So I think that they've had time to pivot away from it. You know, obviously losing these three guys in that tournament is probably going to cause a downgrade in the in-ring output, right? And potentially at least one major storyline, right? Jay White, whatever Jay White's storyline was going to be during the G1 is going to be missing. But I mean, the other thing is like there's a ton of value to these guys doing these US shows while the G1's happening, which is when New Japan World probably peaks with at least attentive subscribers who are logging in, almost every day. Especially, rumor has it there may be live English commentary on every G1 show this year, so that's going to bring the engagement around the product up. And then you've got these guys showing up on a show like, the New Japan Strong, but also like anytime they show up on Impact or AEW, that lands on NJPW World, right? So I think there's a ton of value in these guys doing something and doing whatever it is they're going to be doing during the G1 while people are paying attention to New Japan, like a refreshed attention to New Japan. People, especially with the fall G1s, I think people check in for G1 season and run through Wrestle Kingdom and then maybe taper off, right? Unless they get really hooked. So this is a good chance for them to see that these New Japan guys are in a lot of different places and representing New Japan, right? So, is it good or bad for business? Probably, net neutral. I think, because I think that they're trying to keep them out there doing stuff representing New Japan, you know, and it's a matter of what they end up doing with the G1. Like, is it a 10-person block on both sides, right? I mean, the schedule would tell me yes.
Seem like yeah.
Right, but maybe it's not, and so maybe then the output is a little different, right? So I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued by all of this, right? But I think it's good that New Japan recognized that they had people on the roster that weren't happy with what was going on. They weren't happy working for 200 or 300 people in Cork and Hall for like 4 nights a week, right? And you're not gaining anything from that as a wrestler. Maybe you're gaining something for the business, right? You're selling a couple of extra tickets or whatever it may be. But I think they recognized these guys weren't happy. They found a solution that works and continues to build business in the U.S. And I think, long term, these may be everything that's happened in the U.S. for New Japan during this pandemic has been something. It's been a lot of things that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So I think long term, the gains might be significant because you now have a big U.S. business.
Man, how do you follow that? No, but some great stuff there. This is kind of my hot take on the whole thing. I personally, as a fan, was kind of continuously disappointed with Juice's story arcs in the G1s, and then a little bored with Jay White's. And the only way that I wouldn't have been, bored with Jay White's story is if he finally won the G1 this year, which maybe he would have. He's certainly a leading contender, but it's not guaranteed. The only one that I was really, really like beyond a shadow of a doubt looking forward to is Dave Finlay getting his first G1, seeing how that played out. But let's be honest, he's probably going to be in there as a pin eater. So this might be in some ways a positive for each one of them, provided they continue to do cool stuff here in the U.S. I do see how it could hurt the box office in Japan in the short term. Like when Chris, when you were talking about like a net neutral, like I maybe that's true. I think long term for the US base, it's probably more positive to have them here doing things. So that's like further down the road stuff. But like for the day in, day out, touring and drawing, during this G1, who knows what kind of effect Jay being off the tour actually has. It might be substantial. But at the same time, like we're going to get new bodies in the G1, which is cool. And, these guys are kind of going to be afforded to do other things here in the States with other companies and with Strong, which is like one of the things we kind of complain about sometimes is where we're like, there's not enough New Japan representation on Strong. And we're kind of going to get more of that throughout the summer and fall. So that's, I don't know. To me, this all says these are all good things. Plus, all those stories of like the Gaijin unrest. Well, they're bending over backwards to make some of these guys happy, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to impact the booking for G1 or Wrestle Kingdom at all. Like you guys mentioned, you look at a guy like Finley and Juice. Juice is normally an 8-point guy at the best. I think you can find somebody that can get 8 points, and it would have been Finley's first G1. He probably would have been eating a lot of pins. He might have been a 6-pointer, 8-pointer guy. I think you can find somebody that could fill that role. And Jay White's a top guy that potentially could have won or get 10, 12 points. That spot might be a little bit harder to fill, but like you mentioned, Josh, Jay's story in the G1, it was starting to get a little repetitive if he wasn't going to win it. And with him holding on to the never openweight title, if he kept that title going into G1, there's probably a good chance he wasn't going to win the G1 as the never champion. So as far as Wrestle Kingdom 16 booking, I think by then they'll probably get these guys back for that show, and you could easily set up that either that angle here in the U.S. and you bring whoever's going to face Jay over to Japan, or you set up an angle, you bring him in December, road to Tokyo Dome, cut some promo, shoot some angles, you get Jay on Wrestle Kingdom, and it'll all work out. Then we had some questions from Reddit user Viking Pain. It says, if the rumors are true, which they are, that Juice and Jay are going to be missing G1, who do you replace them with? Okan and Kojima would be my picks. Kojima gets his final G1 run, and Okan gets his G1 debut.
Yeah, I think Okan is a shoe-in for the tournament. I think you're going to see a lot of, I don't want to say new faces, but different faces in this year's G1. It just seems to be how it's playing out. Kojima would be awesome. Jeremy, I know you're a fan.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be a good move, and I think he's had some cool single stuff, and he came to America and represented the brand and all that. So I think it would be awesome to see him get one last run. I don't know. I think it's hard. It's kind of hard to put all the pieces together without like making a list of, whatever the 18 or 20 guys that you think are going to be in. And we don't know that nobody's figured out travel, right? Like I know that the likelihood of getting into Japan, being able to work is slim, but there are guys that have been with or around New Japan for a long time, or have been known to be coming in for a long time, that might want another G1 run, that maybe the ball's been rolling long enough that they've got their credentials or whatever they need to get into the country. So we might see some positive surprises too.
Right. We do know that there are going to be some U.S. talent that are already in Japan that will be in G1. Chase Owens is a name that's been thrown out there. Jeff Cobb, Kenta, all guys that are going to stay in Japan for this tour. So this would be Chase Owens' first G1, so he'll be taking one of those spots. Pretty excited to see what Chase can do in a G1. He is a solid worker, and I think if you put him in a B block against a Ishii, a Goto, a Shingo, a Bushi, like Chase is going to really impress some people and have some great matches. Like you mentioned, I think Okan is definitely a lock to be in there. It'd be great for Kojima to get one last run. And, there is always the outside possibility, we've talked about it before, of opening the Japan Forbidden Door, getting some guys from other promotions from Japan, some freelancers, or maybe somebody from Noah, who knows, and getting a surprise that way.
Yeah. I think there's about...
Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores. Sports have a way of bringing us all together. And at Sleeper, we developed a fantasy platform designed to make leagues more fun and personal. Sleeper includes an integrated chat and every feature you could want for your NFL, NBA, and even esport leagues. Plus, it's completely free with no ads. See why millions have made Sleeper the fastest growing fantasy platform. Download Sleeper on the App Store or Google Play today.
By my estimation, I won't go down a whole list or anything, but I think there's at least 15 names already that are still pretty much virtual locks even with Jay and Finjuice out of the tournament. And, so that leaves about 5 spots there. It depends on if Will Ospreay's going to be in the tournament or not. 5 or 4 spots. I mean, I think you could easily fill that. You got Suzuki there, Hinare's there, possibly God could return, Fale. Chase Owens is already pretty much confirmed. So with him in there, it brings it down to like 3 spots. They're not going to have that much trouble filling this at all with even just the talent they have there, which is what I think they'll probably do. You also got to wonder if a guy like Ren Narita finally comes back, if they're going to bill him as a heavyweight. Shota Umino can, I think this missing Resurgence is a big piece for him. He hasn't had much to do during his excursion, but at some point he's got to come back too, right? So what's Gabe Kidd doing? What is Gabe Kidd doing? That's a good question. He's probably, my bet is he's at home for a little bit because he had a long run with, in Japan, but he's probably not quite ready to be graduated, but I mean, he's great too. Yeah. So and I would love if Kojima got his goodbye run. We never got a goodbye run in the G1 from him the way we did with Tenzan and Nagata. So I think and I didn't think we'd ever get it, but if you were going to ever do it, now is the time.
This is the year. He's had an incredible year. You go back to the Ospreay match, the Tenkoji feud, the summer of Cozy, the strong title match against 50 Tom, being on Impact, working several shots there. This is Kojima's year. So this is the perfect year to do it. This is the Bread Club year. Go ahead, get my boy Koji in there.
Well, let's move on. We got some other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so Viking Pink also had another question. He says, who now becomes a favorite to win the G1 with Jay and possibly Big Billy out of the tournament? Okada is a heavy favorite, but I think they can make a lot of money with a Naito and Shingo Wrestle Kingdom 16 main event.
Yeah, I don't think that's out of the question. Shoot. Who's the I mean, I don't know that either of those dudes were the favorite anyway, but if Will Ospreay shows up in this tournament, he's probably the favorite. Yeah, I guess, right? Like if he shows back up, that's a huge way to heat him back up, put him right back in a title match, and then it's at the Tokyo Dome, right? Like whether it's Shingo or somebody else, Shingo loses it between now and then. Like I don't know, but I think if he shows up, and he tweeted something yesterday, is like, I love getting good news or something. So like, I don't, read what you want into that. But Jay, if Will Ospreay shows up in this tournament, he's got to be the favorite. And then, from there, it is kind of a toss of Naito. Sure, heat him back up. He hasn't had a great run in the sense of like winning matches, but he's still got the output. Naito Shingo, if they're not filling the Tokyo Dome, I don't know that that's a match that sells out the Tokyo Dome as like,
I think it absolutely does. I think you're underestimating the drawing power of Naito Shingo. In fact, I will go as far as to say, if it was me in a perfect world, I think Will Ospreay and Naito is your final. It's a super protected match. It's never been done before. That's the final this year. And Naito wins that shit, and we get the second ever Naito and Shingo match for the title. That's a dome-worthy match, and I think it draws. I think in a perfect world, it could sell out the dome easily at this point. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think you normally don't have faction versus faction in a big main event like that. I think that would draw a lot of intrigue. It's only happened one time. Naito's first shot at the world heavyweight title. I think there's a lot of different story elements and stuff that you can really, put into a Naito and Shingo matchup. And it's been a while since Naito's won a G1. And if you want him to kind of get up there, 3 G1 wins to tie guys like Tanahashi and Ibushi, that's another thing you can do for him.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I think is happening. That's my feeling on it, especially with No Jay, and especially with Shingo having already beat Okada and Tanahashi back to back. I feel pretty strongly that those are his top 2 guys going into a Wrestle Kingdom, and I'm pretty confident right now it's Naito. Like, I don't usually feel this confident going into a G1 season, but like I'm telling you, it's a Nostradamus thing. Like that's who's winning it.
And something also we don't have blocks yet, but normally on a normal non-COVID world, they would try to do a protected main event, something they haven't done in the previous calendar year at Wrestle Kingdom. Obviously, we haven't had Naito and Shingo this calendar year, and if they're in opposite blocks, I think that would definitely lend more to them doing that matchup at the Dome.
Who wins at the Dome then?
Ooh,
because look at it, Ibushi, Okada, Tanahashi, they've all lost their first shot at that particular belt. So does Naito also lose his first shot at that belt?
Why not? Let's do it.
I'm not as confident on that booking scenario, right. So I'm not there yet. But I could see him losing to Shingo.
Would that be the torch pass then? I mean, then that's Shingo's group then, right? I mean,
well, that would be the intrigue. That's the whole intrigue of the match. It's not just the fact that they've got all this history, but it's also like, who's the real leader of LIJ? What are the implications to LIJ after this?
Is there a leader of LIJ?
Is there an LIJ at all?
Well, right, and there have been seeds planted with Naito and promos talking about, we have to kind of get on Shingo's level. He's the only one with titles and blah, 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 and all this talk about them trying to get to Shingo's level, so...
another person that could, we haven't even discussed it, but like he's coming back from injury. You could throw Hiromu in that G1 pretty easily. That would be awesome too.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Oh, well, everyone wanted him last year.
Yeah. And I think that there's definitely the opening for that to be the case this year, especially
cool.
Let's say if he lost to Robbie, right? So he doesn't have the junior title. He could easily be slotted into that G1.
I think.
Will Ospreay was in the G1 with the junior title.
Right. That's possible too. I got a feeling he's losing to Robbie for some reason.
Yeah,
I sense that as well. Yeah,
I think that too. But yeah, even if he beats Robbie, like you said, we've seen junior champs in the G1, and plus if he just comes back, if he wins. And then it's a heavyweight tour. Like, there's nothing for him to really do. I guess he can do well. They didn't do undercards last year, so yeah, he'd be pretty much off again. So if you want him to stay hot and wrestle,
he could come to the U.S.
Man,
yeah, you could do that.
Sell some tickets.
Yeah, I mean, we see that ELP and Taiji, they're coming. Obviously, they're not going to be in G1, so they're coming to U.S. So yeah, you could have Hiromu come to the U.S. That would be dope.
Hiromu versus Will Ospreay in the G1.
Oh,
sure.
Not
sure.
But let's talk about some other stuff that's happening in the U.S. So real quick, some quick Impact notes. Last week on Impact, Chris Bay defeated Juice Robinson. Post-match, Jay White officially gives him his Bullet Club t-shirt. So we kind of talked about the spoilers a few weeks ago, but it's finally aired. So Chris Bay is now officially a member of Bullet Club. This week coming up on Impact, we're going to have Beyblade versus Finjuice.
He's not officially a member of Bullet Club.
He's not.
Just because one member gives you a shirt does not make you a member of Bullet Club. This is the Juicy Gino Gambino situation all over again. Not official Bullet Club. Okay?
Sir, D'Lo Brown and Matt Stryker told me that he's officially a part of the Bullet Club.
Yeah, they're the voice of authority on this subject.
Are you calling D'Lo Brown a liar?
D'Lo Brown is a well-known carny liar.
But also Impact news, the Good Brothers, they'll be defending their Impact Tag titles tomorrow night on Dynamite against the Dark Order. So interesting stuff there. Then this past Friday, we had another edition of New Japan Strong, the Road to the Summer Struggle USA. We had a debuting Alexander James defeat Kevin Knight, 8 minutes and 3 seconds. We had Mr. Dode's off, Fred Rosser and Rocky Romero defeat Alex Coughlin and Ren Narita, 11 minutes and 9 seconds. And then the main event was Team Filthy, Dane Limelight, and JR Kratos defeating the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaac. Of course, we have that post-match angle that we talked about earlier with the West Coast Wrecking Crew joining Team Filthy. Guys, any thoughts from this past week's Strong?
Quick general thoughts. I thought this was a really strong episode of New Japan Strong. the wrestling was just really crisp, really hard hitting, and very good. I thought Alexander James made a good showing of himself in his debut match. Kind of reminded me why I was so impressed with him when I saw him on Bloodsport last year. Post match, he called out Alex, he called out God. Why do I forget names? Who's the top young lion from the LA Dojo?
Coughlin?
Yeah. No. Graduated.
Fredericks.
Yeah, my bad. I don't know what's wrong with me. He called out Carl Fredericks and said that that's who's next on the hit list for him. So, we'll see if that even develops or if he's just shooting his shot. But I thought both of these tag matches were literally better than everything on the Tag Team Turbulence tour, unfortunately. So I thought it was a really good episode. In ring.
Same. Yeah, I mean, just a good, solid 3-match episode. I love these. Not a ton of advancement of anything, but good wrestling, and that's why I watch Strong.
Yeah, there was a lot more advancement than I expected. Post match of the Fred Rosser match, there was a stare down between Ren Narita and Fred Rosser that we mentioned earlier in the Resurgence preview. So,
oh yeah, Ren Narita is like, he wants all the fucking smoke with the suntan suit, man.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care if you're no days off, like, you can come get this work. So playing
hold
some
this
headbutt,
bitch.
And then I'll see the post match angle. I did think it was kind of weird with you had Team Filthy versus the West Coast Wrecking Crew, 2 heel teams, but it played out with Filthy Tom coming out and offering these guys a spot in Team Filthy. They accept that. Obviously, that builds into the 10-man tag in Resurgence, and so Team Filthy loaded up to 5 guys again. Then this coming up Friday on Strong, like I mentioned earlier, the main event's going to be Leo Rush and Carl Fredericks against Filthy Tom Lawler and Dane Limelight. We're also going to have Freddie Yehai versus Hikuleo and Wheeler Utah versus Barrett Brown. And we had a question here from Reddit user Wiz Factor. As New Japan is about to air their final episode of New Japan Strong without a live audience, any parting thoughts on the production of the show so far and this period in New Japan or America's history?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too much, but I thought they did a fantastic job. I thought as time went along, it got nothing but better. So, the production, the commentary, the editing, the video packages, the sound, everything, even just the wrestling, everything about the show got better as time went on. And what more can you ask for?
It was the most watchable empty arena wrestling that was put out, I think, during the entire pandemic. And I think part of that's because the quality of the work, and part of that was because New Japan booking is solid, right? And so that makes it easier to watch, and it was fun, and they kept it short and sweet. Three matches, maybe 4 if it was a beginning of a tournament. They did a great job. I look at Strong, and I think the other option was they do nothing in America, right? Like, the other option was they do nothing in America. They run their shows that they've got in Japan with their half capacity crowds that can clap, and honestly, a lot of that would have been great. But most of these wrestlers then, a bunch of these American guys probably just don't even have jobs anymore, right? With New Japan, maybe they've jumped to Impact or whatever it may be, but. And also, like, it allowed them to scout some talent. We'll never, we'll see what happens with a guy like Fred Yehai, Wheeler Utah, these guys that are showing up on now, essentially a New Japan proper show with Resurgence, and it gave Ren Narita somewhere to work, and it gives Yuya Uemura somewhere to work now. Like, this is the best thing that happened in New Japan during this pandemic was New Japan Strong. And the establishment of building a US-based roster of wrestlers that work for New Japan. And man, when that travel opens up, if you look at all these guys that live in the US that can then finally maybe get to Japan for a big tour or a G1 or even just freaking Power Struggle, like, you name it, like, they have relationships with all these wrestlers now. So yeah, they are locked and loaded for a huge relaunch. And I know people think the product is soft right now, but just these relationships with all these new wrestlers that are American based, they can do so much with that.
Well, dude, when they do like a strong tour in Japan, you know, it's going to be so much better seeing like Dirty Daddy and Team Filthy than, you know, seeing the Beer City Bruiser and fucking Dalton Castle and those boys. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I think that's been one of the most exciting things about Strong. Is like you just never know who was going to show up week to week. And it's just really, like you mentioned, expanded that America, you know, roster. You know, no offense to guys like Mysterioso and the Regal Twins and guys like, you know, Barrett Brown. I mean, these were guys that really didn't have a lot of clout, a lot of, you know, hype, a lot of fanfare to their names. I mean, they're solid guys and, you know, great addition to the roster, but it's a big difference when you tune in one week and there's Filthy Tom Lawler, there's Dirty Daddy Chris Dickinson, there's Brody King, Freddie Yehi is coming in, Wheeler Utah is coming in, the X-Division champion Josh Alexander is coming in. Like, you just never know who's showing up on Strong. I think that's just a great kind of surprise element, especially with the way it's, you know, being closed set, you know, no spoilers got out. I think that's the one thing that is going to kind of stink with fans. Spoilers will get out, but I still think you're going to have that surprise element. You never know who's going to show up, and especially now, or if, you know, guys like Jay White and Finjuice working these tapings, they might even bring even more big names to try and sell houses. And so, but overall, the pandemic era, like you mentioned, Chris, New Japan Strong, one of the best things that happened out of the pandemic, and we've seen that show grow. We've seen some really solid booking. We've seen the birth of the Strong Openweight Championship, and so a lot of great things have come out of Strong. And you know, New Japan hasn't always gotten, you know, things right here in America, but I think Strong was a step in the right direction in a way to, you know, plant some seeds here for their brand. So now let's hop over to what's going on over in Japan. We've had the Summer Struggle Tour going on and the Super Junior Tag League happening the last few nights. So run down the results here, and we can kind of give our thoughts on these Super Junior Tag League matches. So the opener from August 7th, we had Tenzan, Makabe, and Yano defeating the Bullet Club team of Chase, Jado, and Yujiro. And of course, that's, you know, setting up the KOPW match with Chase and Yano. Then we had the LIJ team taking on Chaos. They defeated Chaos team of Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Honma. 14 minutes, 40 seconds. Then the Super Junior Tag League action started. We had the Junior Champ Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask picking up a win against the Bullet Club team of Dick Togo and Gato. Semi-main event, we had Desperado and Kanemaru defeating Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi. And then in the final night, the main event of this match, of this night, we had the Bullet Club team, Bullet Club's cutest tag team, ELP and Taiji Ishimori, defeating Roppongi 3K, 15 minutes and 56 seconds. Any thoughts from this first night?
Do you want to, maybe we could just discuss all of that sort of in a vacuum and just go through all the results, because there's 3 nights there?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. So August 8th, we had show open up with Bull Club with Chase Owens, Jado and Yujiro defeating the Great Bash Heel team of Togi Makabe, Honma, and Toriano, 9 minutes 38 seconds. Then we had the LIJ team defeat Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Kojima, 16:53. Then for Super Junior Tag League matches, we had Desperado and Kanemaru defeating Dick Togo and Gato. Semi-main event, Eagles and Tiger Mask defeating Roppongi 3K. And then in the main event, Bull Club's cutest tag team, ELP and Taiji, defeated Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi. And then on Monday, August 9th, we had Tenzan, Honma, and Yano defeating Chase, Jado, and Yujiro. The LIJ team defeating Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Togi Makabe. Then for Super Junior Tag League action, Bull Club's cutest tag team, ELP and Taiji, defeated Bull Club's Dick Togo and Gato. Semi-main event, Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask defeat Despy and Kanemaru. And then the main event saw Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi defeating Roppongi 3K, Sho, and Yo. So that puts our standings at Bullet Club's cutest tag team, 6 points, 3-0. Eagles and Tiger Mask, 6 points, 3-0. Despy and Kanemaru, 4 points, 2-1. Taguchi and Wato, 2 points, 1-2. Roppongi 3K 0-3, they're out. Gato and Dick Togo 0-3, and they are also out. So, guys, overall thoughts on 2021 Super Junior Tag League thus far?
It's so I caught up on this all in one day. Well, life happens, man. So, but I took some time to watch all the tournament matches, and mostly easy watches, right? I'm always, I think we were talking earlier. I don't know if it was on the air before, but always pleasantly surprised and by what the juniors can do, regardless of the situation. I mean, I always love Best of the Super Juniors, but any of these junior tag matches are always a pleasant surprise. They're always better than I expect them to be, more engaging, etc. So most of this has been, the story is obviously Roppongi 3K, and this is a tournament they've dominated throughout their entire career, and now they can't seem to buy a win. So clearly we're headed towards something there, which I think is great because they, as a tag team, I think they've done everything that they can do. So, from there, that's the thing to keep an eye on. Do they finally get themselves a win? Do they actually lose out completely? I mean, it's a short tournament, so losing out completely is not the end of the world. But most of the matches are easy to watch. I think Robbie Eagles looks awesome.
Yeah.
Tiger Man is like,
yes,
he's there. He's doing everything he can. But Robbie Eagles is carrying that team, and he's a star right now. Like, he looks really good. He's super motivated. Clearly, anytime he's in the ring, he's worth watching.
I'm here for the Show and Yo story because not only are they losing the tournament tag matches, but the multi-man match on the previous show just before the league started, they were the cause of loss during their multi-man match, and they got a scathing promo cut against them by freaking Desperado, and then that trend has just kind of continued on show after show. They're losing match after match. We'll get to it, but even today on the 10th, they were in another multi-man match that they were the losers of. So it's like 5 big prominent losses back to back to back, and they don't seem to know how to get it together. They don't know what's going on. These guys are cutting promos talking about like, dude, do you guys even belong in New Japan anymore? You guys need to go away. Like, they're not even talking about like breaking up. They're like, yo, you guys can't cut the mustard, So it's great. And like, I need them to finish the story out by going completely winless in this year's Super Junior Tag League, which means they need to lose to Geto and Jado, or Geto and Dick Togo, because when that happens, like, they're gonna have that come to Jesus moment, like, all right, where do we go from here? Like, what's next? And I'm all about that, because the idea of them just having your run of the mill, they're gonna put up X amount of points and be in the finals and be in the running again, like that would have just bored me to tears this year.
Yeah, I gotta say, definitely love the direction they're going here with Roppongi 3K and their story of the tournament. Yo has been the one that's been eating the pinfalls so far in all the matches, and
Michael Ionetti or Marty
Ionetti, yeah. Initially, when they started, like when they lost the first one, I kind of lost patience. Initially, I was like, "Oh boy, here we go. We're gonna get Roppongi 3K redemption story." The
redemption story, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna lose the first 2, and then they're gonna come roaring back. But then they just kept losing. I was like, "Oh, okay, we're doing something different here. We're getting some, you mentioned the post-match promos. You're getting Show looking very frustrated at Yo. We have a bunch of questions about this. So,
and they're not even like wrestling that good. I'm not saying like they're not wrestling good. What I'm saying is like they're not like going out of their ways to like have blowaway matches. Like, for instance, like, ELP looks great in this tournament. Ishimori looks great. Robbie Eagles is having a great tournament. I'm even like pleasantly surprised by like Watto and Dick Togo and Geto, the 2 guys who like, I think there's probably a story element to it. Kind of reminds me of that year where Okada kind of had a down G1 when he was carrying the balloons out. He wasn't wrestling up to his potential because it fit the narrative of the story. I think that's what's happening with Show and Yo here, is like they're kind of just wrestling mid and just having lackluster matches and just going out there get beat,
Yeah, and before I go to the questions, one thing I think that would have helped, the story is good. I think one thing that would have helped the story more is if they had not won the tag team title as soon as Yo came back. I agree. This story could have been even more compelling if they had failed in the tag title shot and had kept failing to win big matches leading up to this tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
Some questions here. Why did you do that, bro? Says, seems like 3K are finally heading towards a split, but who turns on who? EMJ does PR says, are we finally getting our barbershop moment for Roppongi 3K, or are we going to get a big redemption arc for the former champs? And Rambo and Slam Pick says, you guys feel the vibes of a show turning on Yo and joining United Empire angle coming, possibly at one of the upcoming MetLife Dome shows. They are leading up to something with the junior tag league situation, right?
Yes. They're leading up to something.
They are leading to something. I'm not one to really speculate at this. Honestly, I'm just along for the ride because, for so many years we've been expecting something to happen, and every time we try to book it out, they kind of disappoint us. And for all I know is that they tell this story about them having all these heartaches.
Then they win at damn Wrestle Kingdom again.
And then they somehow come back at Wrestle Kingdom and win those fucking junior tag titles. And it is still a redemption arc story. Like,
you know what happens? We need to find ourselves. We need to go to America. Roppongi 3K on Strong, and then they get their groove back.
Tempura boys.
Yes.
There's no telling what the real outcome of this might be. Maybe it is a breakup, but maybe it's not, So I'm gonna hedge my bets and just say let's just wait and see how it plays out, and give them kind of the liberty to do what they want to do. And if it is really good, great, and if it does lead to new career pathing for both of these guys, that's awesome. But I don't know. I'm not ready to commit to the idea that they're doing the full on breakup angle with them because they've been so reticent to do that.
Right. And this also could be a setup for the best of the Super Juniors. I'm assuming that's going to be, towards the end of the year like it was last year.
Show-yo final.
I'm not sure about finals, but it'll probably be a single block tournament again. So these guys will face off.
Don't wish that evil on us. Come on.
I'm just saying how the calendar lines up and what they did last year. It was a single block. They did Super Juniors and World Tag League together. Hopefully we can get a double block, but either way, you could do a big show versus Yo match in the best of Super Juniors. That could lead to
final
for the rights to Roppongi 3K.
Yes.
Roppongi 3K is not even Roppongi. If they don't have that theme, they're not even Roppongi 3K anymore.
What is their theme right now?
It's piano music.
That's what it is. It's like some
why?
It's a second. It's like a 1992 Sega Genesis side scroller, chaos level. That's what it sounds like.
What, they get tired of paying Rocky royalties? What are we doing?
Yeah. I like your idea, Josh. So you have them fight for the rights of Roppongi 3K. You have Sho win, and he picks a new partner who comes out as Yo, and it's like the new Yo, the new Roppongi 3K.
No, not the new, the real Yo. They have Ren Narita come back as the real Yo. Didn't they do something like this with Harlem Heat and Big T?
Oh yeah.
They had Ahmed Johnson come out as Harlem Heat 2000, and he had to wrestle Booker T for the rights to Harlem Heat. Stevie Ray and Big T.
Oh man. But yeah, so we'll wait and see what happens with Roppongi 3K. Overall, the tournament, I think the matches have been very good. Like you guys mentioned, Dick Togo and Gato, they have been surprisingly not bad. It's amazing.
Oh my God, it is amazing.
It's amazing what Dick Togo can do when he's not choking somebody out and doesn't have evil around him.
Dick Togo's moveset is so funny. He pulls out so many 2001 era, Attitude Era WWF moves. It's really funny. But yeah, man, I mean, they're clearly cheating, but they're cheating in a way to where it's not a million ref bumps, a million people getting garrote wired and all that. They're just, eye gouging and pulling hair and biting and leg tripping. They're just doing standard fair, grimy heel work, which is kind of funny because every match that they're in, they're like you know how like when you have heel versus heel, oftentimes these tournaments, one heeldom has to kind of subside to the other one and defer. Like they're like the master like heel team in this tournament. Like they wrestled their Bullet Club counterparts and like they were the bad guys, and they wrestled. I don't know if they wrestle Desperado and Kanemaru already. I think they did, right?
Hold on.
Yeah,
they did. That was on August 8th.
Yeah, and same thing. Like they kind of were like, you know, it's sort of like when Suzuki's in a G1. Like no matter who he's wrestling, like he's the heel because you know he's the top heel. Like, and so they align further on the heel like spectrum than any other team, which has been kind of crazy. And the matches have been, I wouldn't go out of my way and say like they've been good, but they haven't been these awful, horrible, terrible slugs that I was dreading, you know, thinking it was going to be the worst shit ever. Like it's not been at all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Gato and Togo against ELP and Taiji. I thought that was a funny little matchup there. And like you mentioned, yeah, Gato and Togo kind of pulling out all the old school tricks on those guys and ultimately ended up still eating a sudden death. But yeah, that was a fun match.
Gato's like, oh, easy night. He's like, no bumps.
Okay, Gato was trying to pull that Togi Makabe plan.
He told him no bumps. That shit was so funny. But yeah, even Tiger Mask going out there and like really putting in effort. Him and Robbie Eagles like been my favorite team of the tournament.
Yeah,
surprisingly,
they've been awesome.
And surprisingly, they're right up there with ELP and Taiji.
ELP and Taiji Ishimori. I mean, they're quite frankly the best team in this tournament right now, and
the cutest.
And I'm at the point where I just really want to see Phantasmo and Eagles square up, and like to me, they're like the front runners of like, you know, we've got a lot of great talent in this division, but I mean, they're the real flippy do high flyer wrestlers at this point. I mean, even when Hiromu comes back, who knows what kind of style he employs? Like I know it's probably still going to be high risk, but he's never really truly been like the most flippy guy. He's kind of been more like hurl my body at you to try to kill you type of guy. Like, but you know, we don't have a Will Ospreay or Ricochet, and like right now, that's kind of your ELP and your Robbie Eagles, and they're awesome. And I'm like, I want to see more of them at the top of this division.
Well, you're in luck because the rest of the Super Junior Tag League on Monday, August 16th, the main event will be the Bullet Club's cutest tag team, ELP and Taiji, against Robbie Eagles and Tiger Mask. So two undefeated teams facing off, and then we'll have Despy and Kanemaru against Roppongi 3K, and then Taguchi and Wado against Gato and Dick Togo. And then the final night of tournament action will be Tuesday, August 17th, where the order of matchup will be determined by their final rankings, but it will be Taiji and ELP against Despy and Kanemaru, Taguchi and Wado against Eagles and Tiger Mask, and then Roppongi 3K versus Gato and Dick Togo. That possible come to Jesus moment that you mentioned, Josh, could be coming for Roppongi 3K on the 17th.
Also, so I mean, at this point, I mean, even though Taguchi and Watt only, you know, they've got 2 points, like they're not technically eliminated. There's so much that would need to happen for them to stay alive. They're pretty much essentially out. I mean, do you see any scenario where Suzuki-gun maybe ends up in like a 3-way tie or ends up as like the number 2 still at this point?
I mean, yeah, we've seen in tournaments in the past like this where they'll do like a 3-way at the top, and then that leads to a triple threat match, which you could do a 3-way junior title match. That's a possibility. Or, I mean, you could just go straight out, have the champions win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that main event on Monday between the two undefeated teams, that's really going to be one of the big determinants because, I mean, that's going to give them the tiebreaker regardless of what happens at that point.
Yeah, you also could, I mean, we've been seeing the junior title and the junior tag titles kind of wrapped up together. So, you could have Eagles and Tiger Mask get the win, which gets them a junior tag title shot. Then ELP and Taiji retain against them, which gets ELP a title shot against Robbie
Oh
Eagles.
my god, that was my fear that's what was going to happen. But when you look at the field,
a good match, though.
It seems possible that that's what's happening. No, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just opposed to always having the junior tag title be the lead into the junior title shot, and that it's literally been almost a full straight year of that nonstop.
Well, but I also think good point. But Ishimori and Phantasma are coming to America, so
that's true.
That I think they'll be the tag champs, and I think they're going to have some cool tag matches with some of these guys that are over here. I mean, there's plenty of junior tag teams in America. That have relationships with all of them. Yeah, sure.
You mean 2.0?
Yeah. I mean the Largo Loop Express, son. the midday rockers. The old bucks.
Texas Loop.
So
one other thing, and I think I mentioned this, but like Watto, pretty impressed in this tournament with Watto. Like this is the first time in like since he's come back from excursion where I've fully felt like he's pretty competent.
Yo, that Tope Conhilo over the corner that he did, I think it was on the Saturday show. That was pretty dope.
He's still putting together a lot of those high risk moves that when he first came back, we were like, oh shit, he's doing some awesome stuff. But then he's not botching as much, on top of it. So it's like you kind of combine the cool stuff he was doing and then mix that in with just like straight up, capable wrestling. Plus, he's kind of going out there with Taguchi. He just looks more confident. Like he doesn't seem as unsure of himself. Like, I don't know what's going on, but he just seems like kind of ready. Like I don't know what his placement in this division's going to be long term, at any point. But I've been pretty impressed with him, to be honest. This was a tournament we were dreading last week, and it's been pretty pleasant, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's a quick, short round robin tournament. It's fun.
Yeah, I was loathing it last week.
I think everyone thought, Gato and Dick Togo were going to come out and be
choking everybody.
The worst versions of themselves, and they have been actually kind of the best versions of themselves.
Yeah, we've gotten. I mean, I think everybody has been pretty phenomenal, and even like I applaud Sho and Yo for like toning it down for the sake of the story. So, big thumbs up all around for everybody involved.
Well, nice. We could move on now to August 10th, this morning's show, where we had Suzuki-gun, Despi, Suzuki, and Kanemaru defeating Master Wato, Taguchi, and Hanuma. So a little preview match there. Then we had the Bullet Club team of Chase Owens, ELP, and Taiji defeating Robbie Eagles, Toriano, and Tiger Mask. So preview for two matches there.
Big story coming out of that match. So all throughout these series of shows, we've been getting a lot of Chase and Toriano going back and forth and trying to make the other one, say I quit in the mic. And so it's been leading to what we assumed was an I quit match. Well, during this match, Chase brought out the strap, and at the end of the match, they started using the strap again. And then he pretty much made it known that they're going to be having some type of strap match, which they already had one earlier this year. They're going to have another Texas strap match. I'm guessing that because they still were focusing so much on like the I quit aspect, that it might be like an I quit Texas strap match, which, when I said that, you guys can't see, Chris was rolling his eyes. He's not a big fan of the Yano Chase Owens series, but I'll tell you what, I thought that match was pretty good when they wrestled earlier this year.
The match was great. Why do we gotta overcomplicate this already complicated situation?
Because it's KOPW.
Just do one stipulation.
No, it's KOPW. It's got to be like 3. I'm hoping it's
a handcuff Rambo. What are we doing?
No, what I want it to be, I want there to be 2 bags. No, I want there to be a bag in each corner filled with powder that is at their disposal, and then microphones. And they're strapped, and it's like you have to make the other person say I quit, but you can only do it after you have thrown powder into their eyes first.
I'm the redhead with the blinky eye gif right now. What?
Josh, please don't give Dick Togo any ideas to go back in the room with. We have a lot of downloads in Japan. It could be Togo. He listens, goes back into the room. I got a great idea, guys, for this KLPW match.
Anyways,
hear me out.
Guys,
Powder.
Get ready for some type of KOPW strap match between these two guys. Which the first one was good, so maybe this one will be surprisingly as well.
Yeah,
it'll be good. Why do we have to do it again?
Well, because Chase is the Texas heavyweight champion, and in Texas they use straps in their matches, so that's why.
They also have Texas death matches.
When they're not ready for that, it's KOPW. It's not serious.
Are you KOPW splaining me?
So next up, we had the Bullet Club team of Dick Togo, Evil, and Gato defeating Roppongi 3K and Togi Makabe. Evil tapping out Yo with the Darkness Scorpion. I have a question here from Dom Homie 101. It says, it's time for songs that remind you of Evil. And I got two artists for you guys. The first is a goat named Nasir bin Alu Dara Jones, a.k.a. Nas. And the second artist is Jason Terrence Phillips, a.k.a. a rap king named Jadakiss.
Last week I was on the phone with Rich, and he was like, bro, why people keep asking you guys all these like hip hop, like you guys don't even listen, like you're not hip hop heads, like what are you guys doing? And I'm like, bro, I don't know, like I can't make them throw the questions to your podcast, you know. So who is the song supposed to remind us of?
So
of Evil?
Of Evil from Nas and Jadakiss.
Okay, here's one. Hate Me Now by That's probably like the number one. Nas, Hate Me Now. That should be like the theme song of Evil because I absolutely do.
Yes.
Oh my God. I don't know. That's the only one.
Anything from Jadakiss?
Why? The song by Jadakiss called Why, because that's what I think every time Evil's on the screen. Just why?
Yeah, which is what I thought in the next matchup where we had Shingo defeating Yujiro Takahashi by DQ with Evil coming out to cause DQ.
I got one. Ain't Nothing New. Because it's just always the same old shit.
Yep. Yeah.
Here's another one. Damn shame. Because when he won the double gold, that was a damn shame.
Some people thought that was a great idea.
All right, I'm done.
Evil, he came out, caused the DQ in the Shingo Yujiro match, laid out Ching.
I was wondering why we were getting a singles match between these two guys. I'm like, why is this even happening? And then I was like, oh, okay, it's a Bullet Club thing.
Yeah. So laid out Shingo, holds the title over his head. They're building up to their title match. Then the main event, we had the never open weight 6-man tag team titles on the line. Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi defended and defeated the LIJ team of Bushi, Sonata, and Tetsuya Naito. And we had a question from Reddit user Mitch MM22. What do you guys think the chances of Yoshihashi and Goto winning the tag belts at the upcoming Dome shows are? I don't know about y'all, but I would go crazy for Yoshihashi 2 belts. The man who didn't win a title for 12 years become a double champ and maybe even challenges for a singles title. Do you think that's something we could see? Is it something you'd want to see?
I don't know what the chances are because it feels like we've done a lot of hot potato with those IWGP heavyweight titles recently. But if they won, I too would go like so hard. Like I would freak out. And it's just so crazy. Like this is a show where I literally had multiple bits about how much I hated Yoshihashi. I buried him relentlessly on this show. And this title run, which has literally lasted over a calendar year now at this point, has completely changed mine and many people's perception of him. And, you know, this team is so good that, like, they had me really into Bushi this week, which is, like, crazy.
Yeah, that's something to mention. The build up to this match, there were several interactions with Bushi and Tomohiro Ishii. These guys going at it post-match. Ishii ripping off Bushi's mask, cut a great promo in the back saying, you know, Bushi, you spend so much time working on these masks and picking which mask you're going to pick. You need to worry about your fight, your in-ring. Like, this mask is just a rag. And so hilarious Ishii promo of the year.
Also, every time Ishii and Bushi like went head to head, I was just like, this man's a junior. He needs to be in the best of the Super Juniors. He needs to be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Like, that's what needs to be happening.
Is that the revelation you were going to tell us about that you had?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
So this is my revelation. This will probably change once G1 happens. But right now, as it stands, I don't think that come award season, if we were to stop the calendar year right now, I don't think we could possibly have a competent Wrestler of the Year contender category without actually nominating the Chaos Six-Man Trio as one of the top candidates for Wrestler of the Year. We've talked about it in the past. We've talked about, you know, when the Young Bucks were on an incredible tear, literally nominating them as one of the Wrestlers of the Year. Like, there's very few singles wrestlers that have had a better string of matches this year than the Chaos Never six-man tag team. And when you also couple together not just the six-man tags they've had, but also the singles matches that they've had in conjunction to those feuds, it puts them over the top. Like, they've got to be one of the top contenders for Wrestler of the Year. They wouldn't win it, but they'd have to be nominated.
Yeah, I mean, G1 season is upon us, so I mean that could change very quickly as we lead into G1 and Dome season. I mean, definitely top candidate for Tag Team of the Year, but yeah, their consistent work could, yeah, there is an argument for them as a straight up Wrestler of the Year candidate.
I think they've got Tag Team of the Year locked up, right? I mean,
you'd be surprised. I think there are some, like, you know, ardent Dangerous Techers fans out there that are going to vote. Yeah. They're the higher profile tag team.
Depends on how, the rest of the year. This has been a really important run and really like notable. It's kind of oftentimes in New Japan, it's the only thing that's happening is the Never Six-Man thing is still going. V9, I mean, like, long matches, sure, we know that, right?
I don't hear anybody complaining about them having the long matches.
No, it's Techers that gets the complaints. The regular tags, yeah.
It's almost everybody that gets that complaint across the board, but you never hear anyone being like, "Oh yeah, this Chaos Six-Man, they need to cut down these." I
don't know. My Twitter gimmick is every time they have a six-man match, I post that it's the longest never openweight six-man championship match of all time. And like, you know, 3 or 4 times I've gotten to make that tweet this year, and including in about 10 minutes or so, I'll probably just throw this one up or whatever. But because this was the longest ever never six-man match. But and you know, you start to get the "who asked for this" tweets. Like, not you probably didn't watch, so you know, whatever, deal with it. But they've had a hell of a run, and honestly, like the LIJ matches have been really fun. You know, I think that they bring a certain elevation to the titles too, just by getting involved, you know.
Yeah, I mean, their run has just been incredible, solid matchup, especially, you know, you mentioned getting the one-on-one stuff. Like, you look at the third gen versus Chaos feud and the singles matches we got from that rivalry. And yeah, this team's just been on fire. This was another great title match. I really enjoyed this matchup. And, you know, I don't mind the 30+ on their matches because you have 6 guys that are coming in and out. They're usually pretty fast-paced. I mean, it's Ishii and Goto in there doing their thing. And then Yoshihashi's been, you know, on a new level as well since winning these titles. So these guys are all solid. And then they're usually facing off against really solid guys as well. I mean, you had Sonata and Naito here, and then Bushi really stepped his game up with his, you know, little mini feud of Ishii in this run. So it's just really good action for the 30 minutes.
one of those nights, there was a spot where Ishii was challenging Bushi to like fire up, and Bushi's hitting him with forearms, and then fucking Ishii grabs him by the throat, and like Bushi throws it down, goes to hit him, he like ducks under it. When he comes up, Bushi grabs him by the throat. He throws down Bushi's arm. He goes to throw an elbow, and he catches Ishii first, and Ishii just crumbles to the ground like this delayed, bumbling cell. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy Ishii, like, he's got me into fucking Bushi now, and I don't even like Bushi. Like, this is how good he is. It's so crazy.
I mean, they tried to murder Ishii for the whole back half of that match.
Yeah,
like they tried to make it believable that Ishii was going to get pinned by Bushi. Like, and
there was he hit him with the MX off the top rope, and like he wasn't going to kick out. Like, and Goto had to come in and save it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and Bushi has a history of beating heavyweights. He beat Bad Luck Fale a couple times. So
Zach.
Yeah, Saber. Yeah,
and you know he's one of probably the most decorated 6-man tag team champions prior to this run.
He holds the individual record for having held it the most days.
Yeah, that's why we got Chris here. See.
Yeah,
I can organize Excel tables.
So, any other thoughts here on this never 6-man unit in this matchup?
It needs to never end. It needs to go on and on forever.
I was talking about this in the Voices Wrestling chat, and someone's like, well, what's next? And I was like, well, probably the G1. Like, I think that this does kind of put a pause on it. Like, there's no one else left. And then I also said they're going to hold it in perpetuity and forget about it for a little while, and then eventually come back with something fun in probably 3 or 4 months.
But there is somebody left. United Empire.
United Empire is on the horizon, so
if you
Wrestle Kingdom's not far away. So
if you can get Hanare into the country, Hanare, Cobb, and Ocon, run it.
Oh, that could be fun.
They're probably going to win it. That's going to be the team that probably beats them.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Nice. Well, I think that's going to do it for this discussion, right?
Yeah, and then you already mentioned the post-match angle that's going to lead to some kind of strap match that we're going to get at the Dome show between Chase Owens and Yano.
Now, here's my only thing. They might do just a strap match, but that would seem so weird if they completely were doing the stuff about making the guy quit and then just totally pivot from that and go back to the strap with, no story elements prior to like today's show.
Yeah, that would be weird. So they haven't made an official announcement. There's just been a lot of assumptions based off of Chase Owens' post-match promo. So I'm sure we'll get some kind of official announcement on what type of strap match it'll be. Some
go ahead.
Quick news items here to just run through real quick. So in recent week, New Japan has proceeded with their workplace vaccination program for wrestlers and staff residing in Japan. All participating staff members and wrestlers in the program have now received both vaccine doses. So that's awesome news there. We found out where Yota Tsuji will be going on excursion. So Yota Tsuji will be going to Rev Pro Saturday, September 4th, making his Rev Pro debut there. Then on tonight's episode of AEW Dark, we had Hikuleo making his second AEW appearance. And then for AAW Wrestling Destination Chicago, Thursday, September 2nd, Logan Square Auditorium, Juice Robinson will be making his return to AAW.
Nice.
So now we just have some other questions here and then recommended match of the week, and we can get out of here. So first from Red User Grunty Dodds, he says, soon Russ Taylor is going to be available again. Would you like to see him back with Team Filthy, or is 5 members enough for the stable?
I mean, I like Russ Taylor a lot. So if he does come back, great. I don't think it would be good for him to be in that stable again, because that's just kind of like retreading old water. Like, I don't know. But as far as like getting him back in New Japan, I mean, sure, why not? Although there's a lot of talent out there now, so that's the only thing.
Yeah, I think it was disappointing to see him go to NXT at the time, considering he was kind of just building a foundation around kind of the top tier of US, I guess you could call that independent work, right? If you're not actually contracted and signed. So, and then he got buried and released. So I would assume we'll see him back in some capacity, even if it's just for one of these double shots in Texas or Philly or, whatever lines up with his no compete. I think I know that there are people in the New Japan US office that really like him. So he'll land on his feet. He'll be fine. As for the Team Filthy thing, it depends on how invested you want to get with him. Probably depends on and kind of what you want to do with that unit and how stable you want that unit to be. Because we've talked earlier that there's ever moving pieces.
It's like a band, where like there's certain bands where it's like named after like the front man and it's just his band and like all kinds of different people can come in and out of it. Like as long as Filthy's there, it's always gonna be Team Filthy. The rest of those guys, it could be anybody. Team Filthy could be any collection of any guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Russ Taylor back on Strong. You could do a storyline of him trying to earn his way back into Team Filthy, and eventually just leads to him not being able to cut it, and he, joins like the Strong Hantai group and fights against Team Filthy, or maybe he does eventually get his way back into Team Filthy. I'm not against if they do have 6 guys in there. I mean, traditional New Japan factions seem to have a lot of guys in there. So, I mean, I don't think it would hurt having him with those guys. Next question from Viking Payne. He says, I remember reading on The Observer that the Tokyo Dome will be undergoing renovations that could affect Wrestle Kingdom 16. If that's the case, do you see them hosting the show at a different location or maybe even in a different country? Wrestle Kingdom 16 at Madison Square Garden sounds real nice.
I heard they're doing 3 nights this year.
Triple Dome Dash?
Yeah, or quadruple dome, quad 4 nights. Boom, 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 boom.
You got the U.S. title, the Never title, Strong Openweight title, and the World Heavyweight.
KOPW.
You're going to put them all together, and then you're never going to separate them.
Oh, man.
And you're going to carry around 4 belts because, in All Japan they have 3 belts, and in New Japan we need to have 4.
Bro, they don't even have 3 anymore. They're fucking weak. They trade it all in for 1 belt.
Except when they did that goofy
that 3-way match
gauntlet kind of thing.
Yeah.
There have been a few times where they'll bring out the replicas, for special occasion. And it's like, don't try to make it fancy. You got 1 belt, okay?
I thought it was cool. I did hear about the Tokyo Dome situation. I haven't asked anyone anything about it, but it'd be real weird to run January 4th somewhere else. I don't think they would do it in America. Like, I don't think Madison Square Garden. That does sound real nice. I would probably be there. I'd definitely be there. But
that seems so unlikely.
Yeah, they would figure out something else to do. But like I said, I didn't dig in. I should just ask Dave.
I'm wondering if like the next best alternative would be like Saitama.
Sure.
Although, like, I think one of the big reasons they don't run Saitama is the exorbitant costs, and it's been a money loser for them in the past. But I'm like, that's like the one big building that they have run, but they don't regularly run, and it's right there. And that'd be pretty prestigious for them to run that building for that event. That'd be like the one replacement that I think would be like, people would be like, oh shit, they're running Saitama Super Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, I have a hard time seeing it not be in Japan. I feel like, they would find a big building in Japan to run it in.
They could do another dome, but I mean, I don't know. I think part of the reason the Tokyo Dome is so appealing is that it's in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This next question, it says, who from the recent WWE releases would you like to see have a run in New Japan or New Japan Strong? I think Bronson Reed would be a great addition for Strong.
Dude, there are really so many people. I don't even like I don't even know. Like, I don't know who does and doesn't work for them anymore.
Let's see if I could find a list of the recent releases. I know there was obviously Bronson Reed, Leon Ruff, Bobby Fish, former IWGP Junior Tag Team Champion, Jake Atlas.
Most of those guys, I'd say, I guess, but not really. But like Jonah Rock makes a lot of sense considering his Noah ties, considering the Australia tours that he did with New Japan, and they were interested in signing him prior to him jumping to NXT. So, plus like his style of work would really lend itself well to the house style of New Japan.
He's the only one on the list that I'm looking at that I'm like, yeah, sure, come on down. Like everyone else is fine, but I think that they just like probably land on AEW Dark and the Indies for a little while.
Yeah, there's Alex Zane, who was on Strong before he left, so they could potentially bring him back.
Don't you mean Ari Sterling?
Yeah, Ari Sterling. There is Asher Hale, the former, what was his name? He's a team with JD Drake. Anthony Henry, what's his indie name? He's back on scene. He's somebody really good that I wouldn't mind seeing on Strong.
Wasn't he going to retire?
He was, yeah. But,
that's gotta suck.
But he says he's hitting the indie scenes, and so it'd be great to see him get a shot on Strong. I think he's really, Josh and I have seen him all the time here in Florida and FIP and some other indies, and so he's really good.
Yeah, he's alright. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, I mean Alex Zane makes a lot of sense as well. I think he's a guy that could do. I mean, the whole thing was he wanted to work New Japan, but he couldn't get into Japan, and there was no guarantee of down the line. And, we're in the middle of a pandemic. People took the guaranteed money. It makes sense. So,
yeah. We'll move on to questions from Dom Homie 101. He says, with WWE releasing talent every other week, when will we see Kushida and Nakamura back in a New Japan ring? And how would you guys book both guys' return?
Oh, man, that's a wormhole question. I mean, how would I book the return of like two of my favorite guys ever? Like, I don't know.
Strap a rocket to them.
Yeah. I think with Kushida, I would make him a heavyweight. I'd bring him in I would not put him in the junior division ever again. I'd bring him back and I'd have him work with the big boys. Nakamura, I mean, I'd probably have him work Naito day one.
Yeah.
Listen, I haven't thought of Nakamura as these cuts are happening, but I'm sure he's getting paid pretty well, and they don't do much with him. That is a really intriguing thought. And you know where he would come back. He's already said he wants to work Tanahashi one more time, right? Just like everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not so confident of it.
You don't think he would come back?
No.
You don't think they'd have him back?
I think they'd have him back in a heartbeat. I think that like he made this really big life decision for his family to move to America, and they planted themselves here. Now, could they all move back to Japan? Sure. Could he live here and work in Japan like Kenta and them? Sure.
Right.
But I mean, I think that for the money and the work and the output, if I was Tony, there's no way New Japan would be able to get him from me if I was Tony Khan. There's just no way that would ever happen. If I was Tony Khan, I would shell out big bucks and I would sign him, and that'd probably be like the ideal situation for all parties involved. Like, I don't think he's ever coming back.
Well,
I don't know.
The forbidden door is open, so he can sign with it.
Plus, there's that. The forbidden door is open, so it's not like if he was signed there, he couldn't come work Japan.
And do like do a cycle, right?
Can you imagine at this age, like his body, like doing like one of these tours? Like, I don't know if he could do it still.
AEW is a promo company though, too. I mean, so I would be really curious to see. Now we're in a rabbit hole of what happens with Nakamura when he gets cut, but I would be very curious to see what would happen with him in a company like AEW that is so strong with promo. It's not saying he can't cut a promo, but I mean, like, that's a really meaningful thing for their particular promotion. With, you know,
That's
I mean,
true.
we're even seeing it with Andrade kind of unable to get himself over because he doesn't cut a great promo.
Yeah, but it's not like Andrade was like lighting the world up on fire in Spanish when he was La Sombra. You know,
No.
that wasn't his deal. You know, like,
but that's what I mean. Like, is Nakamura, could he get over without speaking?
I don't know.
In the mix of all the guys we know we know are likely coming in, right?
Pentagon and Phoenix seem to be doing just fine. They're also a managerial territory.
Sure.
I mean, you line him with the right group, you give him the right mouthpiece, you let him cut promos that are not scripted, because the guy can speak English.
Sure.
And he's got literally the most charisma of probably any wrestler I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know. I think he'd be totally fine.
How do we get Nakamura cut from WWE?
Does anybody have Nick Khan's phone number? We can
and like some contract information about Shinsuke Nakamura.
Like, you guys realize you're paying Nakamura way too much money
to surf mostly.
To team up with Rick Boogs on SmackDown.
I am wondering if he can still go at the kind of level that we would, you know, hope to see out of him, to be honest.
Maybe he's a Tanahashi type where he's worked it out in a way that he's still a great wrestler, even though it's not quite the same level or pace.
I don't put it past him. I'm just I'm wondering if that's the case or not.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it try. Because we're not going to see him try on SmackDown in a 3-minute match with Sheamus or whatever.
Yeah.
I think like the best main roster work I've seen him have was like with Rusev on a few occasions.
Yeah.
Sure.
If he did come straight to New Japan, I think it would be kind of cool to have him like take back the reins of Chaos, like kind of, you know, blame Okada for Chaos, like kind of going off the rails and teaming with Hantai, and like, this is not my vision for Chaos, and just kind of like take back the faction.
Sure, but he also shows up with the white belt over his arm, and he's given it to himself, and it exists again.
Well, you know what? That's one of those things where like, if some other like fan would have said this, I would have been like, you know, that's some Mark shit. But like, there's so much precedent for that sort of thing happening in New Japan in the past. The NWF title, namely, you know, like, that's not beyond like the realm of possibility at all. Oh my God, yeah. Have him come through and be like, yo, not only did you mistreat my baby the entire time I was gone, you fucking lost her. No, I would have him come back, and the first thing I'd have him do is just beat the shit out of Togi Makabe, because old country beat.
Oh, man. Last two questions are fight questions for you, young boy. He has thoughts on Errol Spence Jr. having to pull out of his mega fight against Manny Pacquiao due to torn retina in his left eye.
Yeah, it's super disappointing. You know, that fight, I've got it marked in my calendar, and it's the same night as SummerSlam, and I was like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do that night, because like my girlfriend's like a really big John Cena fan, and so I know she's going to want to watch SummerSlam, but like Pacquiao and Spence was like one of the biggest fights of the year. Now it's not happening. They are moving forward. Pacquiao fighting someone else. The guy he's fighting, I literally have never seen before. I'm not familiar with, even though he's a champion. So I don't know. Very disappointed. Yeah, I mean, the fight's never going to happen at this point, probably. So it sucks.
He also asks, young boy, can you break down a fight between Shane Sugar Mosley and Felix Tito Trinidad?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think it really depends on where it happened and when it happened. These hypotheticals are always tough because, you know, it's like, what are we talking here? Are we talking prime versus prime? Are we talking about a particular time in history, like 1997, 1998, 2001? You know, what specifically is it? But I'm pretty sure Shane Mosley would piece up Tito. As much as I love Felix Trinidad, I mean, I look at what Oscar was able to do to Tito in, what was that, 99, 2000. I look at what B-Hop was able to do to him. And like Shane Mosley at that point in time, like was he was a sharper, faster, crisper boxer and bigger puncher than De La Hoya was at that weight. I don't know. I think Tito be game, but I don't know. I don't think he touches Shane. Honestly, I think Shane probably gets him out of there in like 9, 10. And that's something crazy because I give Tito the nod in most welterweight head-to-head fights because he was that great, especially in his prime. But man, I don't know. That's a tough one.
All right. Well, that wraps up the questions. Going to end.
I will
here.
say this: 154. I don't know if it's the same story. I don't know if muscular Shane Mosley at 154 can beat Tito Trinidad at 154 in his prime. I don't know.
All right, so now let's move on to recommended match of the week. So last week I recommended for you, young boy, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the American Wolf, Davey Richards, from the 2011 Invasion Attack Tour Attack on East Coast. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this was pretty cool. Obviously, there was no commentary, but, seeing like Davey Richards, like one of the guys that I liked the most from that time period, but also like one of the most hated wrestlers to like just his reputation with other workers is that he's literally one of the worst people to work with. And like, he's like universally hated by most wrestlers. To kind of see him go out there in his prime, like that's in that like era where he was on top of Ring of Honor and like just doing the best work of his career. And seeing him go up against Tanahashi as IWGP champion is like very surreal. And it's in such a strange setting because, I mean, there's maybe a few hundred people, maybe not even at that show. When the match started, I really hated the crowd. The crowd, it was one of those super indie smart crowds that like were just like, we're going to get our chance over no matter what. And they're not really paying attention to what's going on in the ring. But then once Tanahashi and Davey Richards started working their story, which was, revolved around leg work, Tanahashi's matches having leg work. That's crazy. I know, but that's what it was here. And like Tanahashi gave Davey Richards a lot. Davey was like, the heel on top and really just put the screws to Tanahashi, a lot of cutting him off. Very fast paced. The match wasn't long at all. I think that they probably could have had a much better match in a better environment and given a little bit extra time. But for what it was, I mean, I don't know. I think this was somewhere between like 13, 16 minutes and an easy 4-star match. Easy. And seeing Tanahashi go out there and like have a on the road, sort of de facto defense against Davey Richards, it was awesome. And also the funny part was like I was watching this and I hit up a good friend of the show, Damon McDonald. I was like, yo, were you at this show? He's like, yeah, I was front row. And I was like, is that you right there? And he's like, yeah, it's me. So that was cool. But yeah, big recommend. This is a super hidden gem. I mean, I knew it happened kind of, but I never saw it. And there's no reviews for it online at all. Like no one's ever talked about it. There's nothing like, there's hardly any cage match. Like, so if you've never seen Tanahashi Davey Richards, it's a quick watch. And it's like just really cool to kind of see the early start of like the U.S. expansion even back then. So yeah, big recommend.
Nice. So Chris, it's up on you for the recommended match for the week.
Well, I want to do something ties back to Resurgence. So I go to Los Angeles and I think Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Didn't we just do that one?
Did you? I'm not on the show every week.
Yeah, we did. I think we did that. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Well, all right. Give me a sec then. Find something else here. No, not that match. That match sucks.
This is funny because Jeremy never does this, but I do this all the time. So it's like, it's kind of funny that like, to experience someone else like picking the match live on the air.
Let's see. I thought I had a good one.
No, you did. It was really great when we reviewed it like 3 weeks ago.
It's a great match. I've told you how I listen to your show. I listen to all of it except for the last 20 minutes usually.
Because you don't want to hear when Dom Homie 101 asks me about Errol Spence Jr., right?
Listen, I love boxing, so I'll listen to that all day. But
well, then what were your thoughts, bro? You could have answered these questions.
That's your segment, man.
It's not my segment. It's all of our segment.
Let's see. Is the Strong Style evolved? Jay White versus Hangman Page from Long Beach, California. Was that on tape? Did that make tape? You already did that one too?
No, we did not.
No, we did not. We did not do it. It did make tape. We've seen it. We would, if you want to give that as the recommended match, we will re-review it for sure.
I want to do that. Yeah, because Hangman's hot right now. Jay White's interesting, and it happened in Long Beach, and I'll be in Long Beach this time next week.
Poignant.
There you go. I did it.
There we go. That's a good one.
Picked one on the air. 3:25:18.
You know what's funny too is like when we watched that match at the time, because the show was, going when that happened. I remember us both being like, "This feels like a early crossroads type of match." You look back to some of those like Rock and Triple H type early like IC matches, and you're like, down the road, you're gonna look back at this and be like, "This was kind of like a pivotal match,"
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of coming true.
Yeah. Both guys in top spots in their promotions. So, yeah, I'm very interested to watch this match back now.
Well, one of them's in a top spot. One of them's in the mud.
They're both a little mixed up.
Yeah.
Right? Nah. They're both kind of in the top spot.
Jay's on top and...
Jay's on top, but he's stuck in a different country.
Yeah, but Hangman's in the mud. He fucking lost his title shot, and then he got jumped out of the company, and he's going home. This guy's a loser.
Turned his back on his cult friends.
No, his cult friends. Yeah, he turns back on them. Yeah, Hangman's a hoe, bro.
He's front of mind. That's all you can ask in wrestling.
Oh man. Well,
I guess the next time we do the show, we'll have already been to California and back.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we might do some special audio.
I was gonna say, we doing a live special?
I don't know.
I'm bringing my little mini recorder I just bought, or we can do some audio.
Megan asked me if I wanted to bring her camera. I was like, "What for?" But should I bring her camera? Like, I don't know if that's something we need for the show. I don't know.
I guess. We're three very good-looking guys. I'm sure people wouldn't mind seeing the three of us on some kind of camera format.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about all that.
Podcasting's cutest trio.
Samsa's on the show so much. He needs to get equity in the podcast at some point.
No, I'm just a guest. I'm a guest everywhere.
You're the official third man of Keepin It Strong Style.
When you guys are done with the IWGP heavyweight tags and you want to go after those never 6-man trios, you know who to call.
But yeah,
I don't even know what that means.
It means
It means I'm your third wheel. I'm gonna be your third wheel in LA too, probably.
Hey, I'm
some of the time
looking forward to hanging out. Yes, actually meeting you in person for the first time. This weekend that'll be dope. But yeah,
we gotta figure out. Oh yeah, guys, if you've made it this far into the show, if you're listening, and you have any recommendations about things to do in Los Angeles, we do not have a lot of time there. We literally got some of Friday, some of Saturday, and then we're going home. But if you've got food recommendations or things that are you have to go do this, shoot them to us. Let us know so we can, do some cool shit while we're out there. I guess we're gonna be in Koreatown, or at least me and Jeremy will be.
I don't have a hotel booked for the first 2 nights of my trip, so
why don't you come stay where we are?
Maybe I will.
Yeah,
okay,
you're more than welcome, man.
So, whatever. We're this far into the show. I'll just say it all on the air. No, I'm sticking around. I'm going to the Long Beach show, so I have my wife booked hotels for the second 2 nights because she's coming out for the second 2 nights, and she likes nice hotels. And I was like, I don't really care where I stay, so I'll figure it out later. And now I'm 3 days from leaving, and I still haven't figured it out.
Well, our place looks. It's not fancy, but it looks pretty nice for the price.
It's just a bed, right?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, but it's yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk off air.
Yeah,
we're not going to give it away because these listeners,
these kiss marks,
Yeah, I'm trying to relax when I'm out there. I don't want to be walking out the door and the autographs.
I don't personally need restaurant recommendations because I will be eating In-N-Out and ruining my diet. That's one meal. Are you eating In-N-Out? I'm exclusively eating In-N-Out burger.
Are you serious?
No.
I was like, that's terrible. I was like, we're gonna be in Koreatown.
I might go twice. But
Little Tokyo's there. I was like, there's gonna be some really great ramen and stuff like that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, stay tuned to the feed. We'll probably do some kind of exclusive audio that will drop on the feed with the three of us there live from California. And next week we'll be back to review Resurgence. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keepin It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. The show is at KI Strong Style on Twitter. The network is at Social Suplex. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. You can follow Chris at the Chris Samsa, right?
Yep, that's the one.
And then Facebook.com/Social Suplex is where we're at there. Also in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group, Facebook.com/group/Wrestling Squared Circle. On Reddit, on the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. You can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Make sure you check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences Podcast with Caleb and Maserati. 8-Bit Suplex with Josh, number 2. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. And the Great Match Generator with Danny. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Itchy Bon.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
Have you been to Express lately? People can't get enough of their clothes. They're like instant confidence boosters. The jeans come in a temp control fabric that keeps you comfortable no matter the weather. And the t-shirts, hands down, they'll feel like they're made of the softest fabric you've ever worn. And get this, the suits have stretch and look sharp. Like, what? How do they do that? Everyone's raving about the newest looks from Express. Just check out the 5-star reviews. See for yourself and shop the latest at express.com and in stores. Sports have a way of bringing us all together. And at Sleeper, we developed a fantasy platform designed to make leagues more fun and personal. Sleeper includes an integrated chat and every feature you could want for your NFL, NBA, and even esport leagues. Plus, it's completely free with no ads. See why millions have made Sleeper the fastest growing fantasy platform. Download Sleeper on the App Store or Google Play today.